others. That's a game-changing. Particle Barrier will also be up for this fight as well.
It's like they're just waiting for Southern Miss to make their play onto the point. Right now, I mean, they've burned 30 seconds off during this team fight. Bob's going to be the first one spent. He's taken out by Starkey, but in the meantime, Tommy Salami picks up one. Reflex and Mimic down and out for the count. Mizzou's being very cautious here, but they are keeping those ultimates for a rainy day. They don't need them for this team fight at all.
Yeah.
I mean, again, when the Yurzari is completely charged up.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah. And Southern Miss might be able to take point by just kind of click Q to win type situation, but even after that, then you might be facing Mizzou that is going to counter every ult you throw at them, or it's going to quickly recontest you and throw you off point with all their Qs, and Clairvoyant's going to get one as well. Particle Barrier gets committed, so does Shatter. Bubbles, both Bubbles are going to be committed. Now going to get a massive grab. Beats committed to this fight as well. Zarya is still sitting at 100 charge. Blade's going to go out. 2 picks, or 1 pick for the side of Southern Miss, though. Backstab trying to get some damage, though, inside this. Going to go down to the current.
Here, both windows beat popped by each team. Ashley heads down, was still holding on to that beat, but just didn't have any teammates to use it on. The payload's gonna be secured. Took a while though. There's gonna be 2 minutes, 40 seconds to get through streets. They're gonna move up even farther with a flame strike onto Gambit, using that Symmetra teleport to put even more of a stagger onto Mizzou. Now we see the standard Lucio placement, just gonna be put on payload duty while everyone else waits.
At this corner here. Gain control of it, looking to contest this fight. Just a bit of poke back and forth as backstabs. Trying to get something. Starkey was looking to get a bit of headshots there. Looking for a nade around the corner. Reflex is going to pick up backstab though, and now we see Southern Miss start to push as payload gets closer and closer. Mizzou's going to have to SK out situation. Gambit finds themselves pretty out of position though, but manages to get the elimination on St. J. Mortality as well for Southern Miss committed. Mizzou now on the counter offensive. Burn more time off this clock as Southern Miss just has to retreat.
The Rhine gets pulled in. Coach Gun, wasn't able to escape from the Shatter. Tried to use the Coach Gun to get out of there, but Bob is still going to be there. He doesn't get hit by the Shatter. He just stands firm, stands tall, and pushes Southern Miss back on his own with some help from Clairvoyant, but I'm just going to say that was all Bob.
Yeah, a solid counter to that Shatter right there. Not only just threw the Rhine off of the ability to follow up with the Shatter, but also managed to dish out a pretty good amount of damage that gave Mizzou the time and space to get up and recontest that fight. Now Southern Miss looking at just about under a minute by the time they're going to get into this fight right here. Clairvoyant now has grab, as well as Blade that should be coming up online to this fight. Oh, and Starkey's going to miss the TP jump. Is going to get saved though. No falling eliminations from the TP. Gambit's going to pick up one. Starkey's going to get a trade though. Particle Barrier's up and at it in this fight, and Gambit's going to go down as well as Grab's committed just outside of Particle Barrier.
Yeah, the problem is, though, there aren't too many to follow up on it, so it's just going to be a pure stall grab. Does help Clairvoyant to charge near full up, and this is a great off angle that Bastion could have. Instead, going to regroup with the team. Has this artillery to use. Moving up to high ground. Seeing who he can find out. Window placed down by Mizzou. Artillery spent in response. Can Mizzou get away? At least their Lucio can't. He's bites the dust.
Work down, which could be crucial unless Mizzou is able to get a quick counter pit. Wheels is up on the side of Starkey. Gonna go out. Blade's committed, but Barrier is there to counter it. Try and get out of it. Another massive Shatter as Reflex is just in the back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if someone even turned around to see Reflex. He had completely free reign. This is going to be the second checkpoint cleared, so now we go into the third and final stage, but this is not much time to work with. Oh! They get pushed off of the point! Oh, they aren't going to claim that checkpoint.
Wow. that is a massive bit of upset right there. They're right there. Literally, I think less than a meter of catching that point. An absolute scrappy brawl at the very end of it. And Mizzou's going to be able to come out on top, only allowing Southern Miss 1 point on the board. Completely doable once they're on that attacking side as well.
Yeah, Ashley was the only one to catch that Symmetra off angle. So now you're guaranteed to see no overtime. It's a question of how fast Mizzou can push the payload. They just need to get to the checkpoint and they'll have this all done and dusted.
Quick walk through the point here. Guessing seed, yeah, see 3 of the same picks that we saw last time around for Southern Miss. I believe I hear Lucio as well. There's about, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is about the same. Yeah, pretty much clone comp as they pulled out on the attacking side of it. You see Mercy swap on the side of Mizzou.
That is true. It might be, well, we'll see.
Out there.
Normally you get the, no, it's swap back over to Lucio. I was thinking you could maybe pocket the Ash, but without any high ground to really work with, you're too far range away, just right out of the spawn for the Ash to really work. Yeah. Gonna have to go back over to Lucio, but Gambit now getting a pick onto Whoa Nelly. Support down and Tank being pressured off of the point. Bastion's gonna be taken out of his turret form and eliminated by Backstab Bud. And this Zarya is already up to 80, now
wow.
90, 100, and they all fall down like dominoes.
Right into the first fight, mere seconds into it, less than a minute. Gambit gets the opening pick into it just from there. Like you said, like dominoes, it all just falls down. A couple of right clicks plus a Dynamite's going to get some good damage in there as well.
And that's just kind of the risk in running something like a Bastion into the Zarya. She can bubble herself, but she's still got the great bubble that she can place onto teammates. The Bastion's trying to mow someone down. You just put that bubble up there. But even with the full charge, Clairvoyant is eliminated by Starkey. Kami Salami takes out the Immortality Field as they start rounding the corner, going in to the archway. Few turrets taken out by the Sim. Going to throw down some dynamite, get pushed off of high ground where everyone waits for Clairvoyant to get back to the front line.
Yep, there's Clairvoyant back at the front line right now. Zane going to try and contest this. A lot of that damage from the beam, not able to get past it. Backstab is going to be able to go and pick up 2 right immediately with the blade. Gambit's going to get a third. Backstab to pick up the third as well. Gambit to get a double. Backstab and Gambit putting the team on the back for a second here. Going to get them through this checkpoint. And they're going to gain some really solid progress here before Southern Miss is able to get back and contest.
Mizzou is also built up. Bob, they're sitting on this Graviton Surge. Southern Miss getting very close on the Blizzard, Beat, and Photon Barrier. And also, Southern Miss actually is above 80 for all of their charge this year. Unless Mizzou is able to get some picks really fast here, it could be a lot of Qs being pressed for the Golden Eagles to bring things back in their favor.
Swap sides real quick here. Backstab trying to get an opening pick. Shadow goes out. I don't think it found anybody, if not one. Grab is also going to be committed as well. Wall goes out to try and mitigate some of the damage, but it doesn't matter. Clairvoyant's going to pick up a 3-piece. Tommy, Salami, and Backstab Bud are going to pick up the rest, and that is now Mizzou picking up the 2nd point here at the checkpoint. That is also Mizzou taking Kings Row.
Play of the game this round given over to Backstab Bud. He did have one of the most consequential pushes. Yeah, this is exactly the play I was thinking of. Just moves right in, breaks up the stalemate that usually happens at this archway, and just clears the path wide open for Mizzou to move through streets. Mizzou picks up the 2nd. Now we go on to Flashpoint to decide it all if the Tigers will be moving on. Improving their standings to 3-1, I have to imagine that's going to put them in pretty prime position to be able to, hopefully for them, move on to playoffs.
Oh yeah, and you move into Flashpoint, which last series round ended up being a very, very quick Flashpoint, which it really does. It's really one of those things that King's Row, like you sort of talked about, of whether it ends up being something really fast sort of gameplay that ends up being a 3-0, or it ends up being this really, really long stalled out 2-2 final checkpoint, getting into 5, and these constant contests here. But I know it almost sounds like a little bit of a broken record kind of going over, what 2 maps is it going to be that we have availability in terms of Flashpoint?
Well, the one thing, if it is Servasta, then I think Southern Miss, and it is going to be Servasta, just as I say it. Yeah. No deliberation whatsoever. Nope. And no, this is good because it allows me to say that the comps that the Golden Eagles, Southern Miss have been bringing out so far, we've seen that they're no stranger to the Brawl composition, and they really like the Bastion. And as Artie was saying earlier on in the first game, sometimes combining those two together, you're able to get all the advantages of Brawl composition, but you get a little bit more reach with the Bastion, who can go into turret form.
And there's also utilizing that Lucio as well, which we've seen both teams bring out. There is a bit of a damage drop-off with the Bastion, but when you get in the face of an enemy, there is none, and that health bar goes away quickly when a Bastion's in transformation mode right in front of you.
Yeah, the only problem is if you're getting that close to your team, then the Ryan and May are going to have a few choice words to say with you.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a pick your poison type situation between the two.
Yeah, pick your poison. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I mean, Lucio is kind of a must pick for this stage. It's just kind of one of those instant lock situations. I mean, you can still get around. We have seen Symmetra teleports also be used to help give teams a boost.
JQ as well.
Sometimes, and then sometimes you can just tell teams have been practicing their backward hops for hours on end because they just book it even without the speed boost.
Yep, I automatically see it. Lucio, Kiri, Sojourn. I believe there's a Genji as well in there, and that is a JQ. For Saturn Red, I'm going to go ahead and say that's Southern Miss for a guess.
With how fast it was chosen, I don't think there would have even been time for a full team swap. But here we go. Here's the opening. Both teams using the mirror composition. So at this point, there's no complaining about whether a hero is broken or not. It is just you and the other team and pure skill to decide it all.
You have to dip the opponent if you want to win here. We'll see what team ends up counter-picking first as well. Can make those choices work out.
Clairvoyant.
Mizzou gets the point capture first as well, so quickly into this fight. Gambit gets one, Clairvoyant gets the second as well. That JQ gets Axe, gonna go down as well. Gambit gets the third, and that's Southern Miss quickly going down this first fight, but they'll be able to contest one more time.
Look at Gambit and Clairvoyant, just one fight, and already Gambit's up to 70% on this overclock. The one saving grace for Southern Miss is that their Lucio is just sitting on this beat too, so might be able to bail them out, at least for a little bit in terms of any damage that Mizzou might put on them. So overall, it's pretty rough in terms of the ultimate slanted in Mizzou's favor.
Oh my damage going to this Sam choke point again right here, up to the right, over by Market. So he's going for the poke. Overclock is available now. This goes out, get the introduction to the fight. Kitsuna Rush also going out as well. No clear deciding picks yet. A couple missed shots to the side of Gambit. Backstab's going to commit the blade. Going to get one. Going to go down though to Starkey. There's Clairvoyant committing the ultimate as well.
Clairvoyant has shown that they're such a good tank, and on a character like the JQ, where sustain can be the name of the game, you just hang in there as the tank and just keep finding people to pick off one by one. That has been Clairvoyant's MO for the entire round so far. You see the next flashpoint unlocked. Mizzou is already booking it in record time. Looks like we're heading over to Palace.
Not seeing any sneaky, cheeky plays, though, like we saw last series. Did really like that play. That was a
Let's kick this off.
big brain. Got that 500 IQ going for it. Not going to see it this time around, though. Going to see the engage on the right side of the point here. Looking to secure high ground.
Mimic, first one to be eliminated. Reflex brings out the overclock, but Mizzou is continuing to keep the eliminations going. It's all clairvoyant right now on this JQ. It's making them feel the hurt. Pulls out a quad for that fight. I think the tank differential is really starting to show in the Tigers' favor.
When you bring out something like overclock as well, and just get shut down so fast, I imagine it can be very demoralizing almost to a degree of even with the Q button, I can't find something here. Zeus posts up just outside point. Axe is not going to find any hit markers though. Shout gets committed for the side of Clairvoyant. Backstab's going to get one onto Reflex here. Might be going after support as well. Starkey missed the blade, goes down to Backstab. Mimic is trying to just keep the fellow support alive. It's looking like a difficult job. Saint is still up here. Still caused some damage, not able to get too much value to find a support. Now it's going to be targeted. Most of it going to go down as it's a pretty big stagger as well.
Yeah, I like how they're just kind of toying with Saint right here, waiting until they can get the maximum amount of time they can on that stagger. And I like that. I like that. I mean, you look at how fast the points charge. I mean, boop, 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 and then you got it. Any stagger can be extremely powerful on Flashpoint.
Has to be very coordinated to do that, to get everybody to sort of move in a way not to get staggered yourself by a Uto combo, by the JQ, and to also just wait until you get the opportunity to take this JQ down. And it's a big stagger, and 15 seconds still point and locks right here as Clairvoyant's going to get the open pick.
It's not an easy thing to do. You get in the groove and you just want to continue. The Kitsune rush is spent, and then immediately Wonelli gets taken out. Oh, she's sitting right underneath the own gates of her Kitsune rush. It looks poetic in a way. Tragically poetic, but it does look that way.
Tragically poetic. Love it.
Whatever you're after.
There's once again just that sort of thing of Suddamus commits what should be a pretty fight-changing ultimate, just gets absolutely shut down. Blade was traded there, I believe. Mizzou also has a pretty good amount of her 2, looking at that 4 here to go online in this fight as well.
Just one fight left, I would think, and Gambit starting it off well with the overclock. Clairvoyant not needing to use the Rampage at all. It's just the base Junker Queen abilities have been something that the Golden Eagles can't deal with. And now Mizzou has a whole stash of stuff they can use for this final fight. Southern Miss, best they can hope for. Maybe using this beat to be able to tank it out, trying to get that blade and overclock charged up. St. JJ could also put an ante onto a whole bunch of Mizzou if the Rampage hits right, but Mizzou still has, I think, a pretty good chance of just closing this out.
Beat's committed, Kitsune rush as well. There goes Rampage. A lot of Qs being committed this fight. It's its final one. Overtime clock is now committed. Thomas Lamy, Gambit, Clairvoyant, find one. Backstab now trying to get one as well. Gambit's going to get the second, and Starkey is just going to accept the fate, go down to Backstab. And that is the 3rd point, not only in this matchup, but in this series as well, to go to Mizzou. They're going to take another W in Week 5.
We'll see one final play of the game be given out. I would think it would be fitting if, yes, it had to go on to Clairvoyant. There was one, I mean, this Junker Queen was uncontested throughout the entire match. This was purely, I just think, a tank diff round, and Clairvoyant pulled through. Never really having to use the Rampage. Used it a few times, but overall just tanked it out, used all of that sustain that JQ can use you, and then just kept picking off squishy after squishy. Mizzou is going to win that one in a 3-0 sweep, so congratulations to the Tigers for that. Well, both the games we've seen so far been 3-0 sweeps. We could see a short night here tonight.
It could be entirely, especially considering we only have one more series to go as well, which is going to be Drexel and Western Kentucky going into it. So you're just going to have to wait and stick around and see.
All right. Well, we will throw it to a short break. Again, though, if you've watched these broadcasts at all, you know that we usually have interviews in between. So you're going to want to stick around for that. And then, of course, stick around for the final match, Drexel University versus Western Kentucky. So we'll throw it to a quick break and then be back with more after this.
but Blizzard might be a good way to counter that, though. As well, gonna at least, but Blizzard might be a good way to counter that, though. Blizzard is also gonna be deployed as well.
Beautiful.
Welcome back to the NACE Starleague studio. We currently just saw the match between the Golden Eagles and the Tigers in NACE Collegiate Overwatch. We've got a player from the victorious team Mizzou joining us. We've got Tommy Salami joining us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I can't wait. I'm very excited for this.
So I think the main thing that I got to talk about, the main question I wanted to ask right out of the gate was, oh my goodness, you have a good tank player. I mean, Clairvoyant on Servasta was just a complete machine on that Junker
Oh,
Queen.
oh, trust me, we know. Clairvoyant is very, very good. He carries the team. He's our team captain. You know, every fight we take, he leads.
Ah,
He shot calls. You know, he's an extremely valuable asset to the team. I mean, it can't be understated how important he is to us.
Well, I guess I'm up next here, kind of on that same trend of things. Actually, you know, we'll scrap it. What ends up being the decision making process there? Because probably you're not watching broadcast a whole lot, but there ends up being a lot of teams that end up going Eichenwald. And personally, I'm new. I just want to go a little bit in the decision process. Why not Eichenwald? Why King's Row? I'll be straight shooter.
Why not Eichenwald? Well, we didn't get map
Yeah,
pick. We probably would have taken an
that's
Ike.
true.
We love
Yeah.
Ike. It's a beautiful map.
Would you have chosen it?
Yeah, definitely. We like Ike. We've played Ike. I think we
All
picked
right.
it almost every time. But sorry we couldn't make it happen. Next time we'll lose control for you. But
I'll be
for
expecting a
now,
lot more. I'll be expecting.
yeah.
just
Will do,
lose
will
the
do.
first stage so
Yeah.
that we can see Eichenwald,
Yeah,
okay, and
that's true.
then go all ham. No,
I
but
got
we're great talking to you. So overall, this places you in the season. Right now, you're at 2-1. Now you're at 3-1. Are there any other matches coming up in your regular season where you're looking for? Are there any other opponents that you're keeping your eyes out on?
Well, I was actually talking to one of my teammates earlier today, Gambit. He actually was just here. That you really have to walk into every match thinking that you're just gonna play your best. You're gonna win, and you're just the best player you can be. So, I mean, when you ask us like how I'm looking for my future matches, I'm not worried at all about like what the opposition is looking or how good they are. I'm just focusing on me. I'm focusing on our team and making sure we play our best. You know, that's all we can do. That's in our control. Obviously, there's some like scouting you can do, but the biggest
All
plays
right.
come from within. You got to work on yourself.
I love that.
Good advice
Love that.
all around. That's one to take notes to. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you so much.
All right, we have got another match for you at the end of this break. We're going to see how Drexel, another team that is currently undefeated in their division, if they will be unseated by the underdog. But you're going to have to wait for that. We'll take a break for a few moments and then be back with more NACE Starleague Overwatch.
So take it on yourself and keep your head up straight. Brighter days will come, so you better be prepared when it all comes crashing down on us, crashing down. my friends said you moved out west. You tell me stories underneath sunsets. Could it be more than just one night? Kissing the cab ride, head turning left, right. Get a ticket for two to wherever you choose. Drinking some red out of the blue. You say my name with your accent, makes me remember how much I missed you. Hope you're planning to stay for a million days. You'll be my summer in December. Hey boy, trust my intuitions always. I'm not superstitious, I got lucky. Stole your heart and it was mine for the taking. I'm bad at pretending, you know I'll be true. Sunday mornings and midnight lights, turning to songs that you watched me write. Stole your sweater on that night, you took a picture, keep by my bedside. So you're mine when you're gone, baby, please don't be long. I got my ticket to the west side. You say my name with your accent, makes me remember how much I missed you. Hope you're planning to stay for a million days. You'll be my summer in December. Hey boy, trust my intuitions always. I'm not superstitious, I got lucky. Stole your heart and it was mine for the taking. It was mine for the taking. It was mine for a million days, in a million ways. Stole your heart
To help Southern Miss tank out all the damage that the dude is pouring on to the
in a million ways, for a million days.
I'll take the blame. I've seen the world go down in flames. I felt the strain of every loss I can't reclaim. Our steps retraced from when we went our separate ways. I've missed these days. I never thought we'd see this place again. I know the feelings always fade, but nothing else could make me stay. It's time to walk this road, the one foretold would lead us home. Our fates unknown, but time will mend our broken bones. I've held the weight of all these years spent in decay. These times are strange. I never thought I'd see your face again. I know the feelings always fade, but nothing else could make me stay. It's not too late for us to slip away. Let the feelings always fade. It's not too late for us to slip
Now, I want to get down to the simplest possible nitty-gritty.
travel the world with you. What's on the other side? The other side. Wherever you are, I want you. Travel the world with you.
Welcome back to NACE Starleague. We move on to our third game in the lineup tonight. Drexel University is going to be taking on Western Kentucky. The Dragons versus the Hilltoppers. Nice to see some kind of out there mascots be brought out there. Those are quite unique in terms of representation. I'm your host, Jacob Palmer, joined by Colin McJunkin. We're here to call the third game for you. And Colin, overall, Drexel University is coming into this match looking like the team to beat.
Oh yeah, and it's always you got a little bit of you almost got a bit of confidence being that team, but you also got a target on your head that's sort of it's almost a little scary to have sometimes because teams are willing to bring out their best stuff against you, and they know they have to perform really well. So it ends up either being a very clean wipe, or it ends up being some very scrappy fights that just take way too long. And sometimes if you're a little bit too overconfident with where you're standing, the rug can be swept from underneath you. And if there's a team that's probably willing to do that, it is probably this one right here.
Let's take a look at how we got to this stage in the overall night. We started out with Northeastern going up against St. Clair. That was a 3-0 sweep. Then Southern Miss versus Mizzou, also 3-0 sweep. We'll see if the sweeps continue as Drexel goes up against Western Kentucky. And then we actually have a bonus round for you at the end of tonight. We actually do have a fourth game. It will be Boise State going up against Kansas. So pretty excited to see how that one turns out. But as for this game, we can take a look at the lineups that each team is bringing to the table. For Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, we've got Javi, Keen Nation, Hassa, I'll just call you Hassa, and I'll call you Eno too, and then Anatar. I can say that one.
Yeah, we can go for that one.
Yours look a little bit easier.
Oh, it's just a tad, but on the side of Drexel University, we got Pest Control. I'm going to go with Fonts Little Heart, Artifact, Beef Stir Fry. I like that one. Peanut, and then Jeff Goldbum.
I never knew he had such a promising esports career. It's just one of those little-known Hollywood stories, you know. And I do think it actually is affect for Drexel University.
Affect. That probably makes a lot more sense, the 3 into an E.
All right, well, we also know the first stage that we're going to be starting out on, we're going to be going to Ilios to start everything out. So 3 sub-stages overall to choose from. We've got Lighthouse, we've got Ruins, we've got Well. Colin, you've been in the production room many of times, just casually watching these matches. Do you have any personal favorite?
I think out of the 3, I'd probably say Oasis. I think just also from not only from a viewpoint, but also probably from the time that I've played as well. And I think, honestly though, I do like seeing this. We've been treated to all 3 different control points that we can end up choosing. So I personally, I appreciate the diversity that we've had a little bit. We've seen the outliers, and we've also seen the favorites. So,
well, even if Oasis is your favorite in terms of overall control points, I'm talking of the 3 maps that are in Ilios. We've got Lighthouse, Well, and Ruins. What are you going for?
That's very basic right there. But I'm gonna have to go with a very basic answer of Well.
Okay.
It's, you know, the very few times that I get to play Lucio that I feel like I can contribute, it's probably Well that I feel like I can do something, get not only a funny elimination, but also, you know, actually a map sort of dedicated to him.
And Lucio is kind of interesting. Not only can he be booped, but sometimes we see Lucios, they're so comfortable with their wall riding abilities that they just ring around the rosy of that well and cheat death. But here we go. We're going to be starting out on Lighthouse, it looks like. Loading in to see if the Drexel Dragons will continue on their undefeated match.
Going 4-0 into the week here against Kentucky, going into a 2-2 schedule. Like we sort of mentioned a little bit before, bit of an underdog in situation. Definitely not the ones you're looking to favor out in the matchup, but as we were sort of preluding in the beginning of it, that you're not necessarily out of the fight just because you are the underdog. If anything, honestly, I think it should give you a little bit more over the hump in terms of there's a massive hill to fight. Let's see if we can end up fighting against it.
And just going off kind of the general schedule that these teams have had, looking over all of their opponents and such, the only university that both of these teams have faced that was the same team is they both faced off against George Mason and Kansas City. George Mason and Kansas City. So they had 2 weeks where they faced the same team. Other than that, it's been pretty different seasons for these two. So they faced different opponents. Drexel currently sitting at 4-0, whereas Western Kentucky is sitting at 2-2. So Drexel's in a position where they can probably go on to the playoffs, but Western Kentucky really needs to win this if they want to keep those hopes alive.
Oh yeah, in terms of divisional ranking as well, I imagine Drexel is, could be a mistake here, but probably the top dog, probably the one to push that number one onto that sort of name card. But I feel like that's a pretty common theme that we've seen throughout these teams. We did see George Mason in Rocket League, completely different though, completely different side note. But I feel like it's been a theme so far. We have yet to see so many teams that have very similar schedules to each other. It's something where we can't really compare very often. We can go into individual teams across different boards and what are their rankings. Then we end up having this massive line graph of all the connecting dots between these teams. But I just feel like at the end of the day, the data, the analytics can only support so much, and it just comes down to exactly how you play in that moment in your day. Are you hitting your shots? Are you making the right decisions? Are you using the right cooldowns? Who queues more often? It's just, I feel like there's so many factors that you just can't equate for.
And some of the reasons as to why, we look at the general schedule that these teams have had and teams that they play against is that there are divisions where there are teams that have such an outsized impact on the overall, I guess you could say, meta of colleges versus each other. I mean, we just saw, earlier, the very first match we saw, Northeastern versus St. Clair, both of them undefeated teams. St. Clair, known as one of the top programs in the nation. So, if you got a team coming in that's 2-2, it's like, well, was that matches that they could have won, or were there ones where they were kind of more the underdog, where it might have been a St. Clair or a Maryville or a Fisher, these schools that normally go undefeated in their seasons anyway. It doesn't mean that, of course, you can't pull off an upset win, because we have seen those, but it gives us a little bit more of the story when comparing win-loss rates. Did they win or lose to the same teams, and which teams did they face up against? Because some are going to be much tougher than others.
And that reminds me of the conversation we had about Southern Miss, in terms of they started out the season facing two very strong teams. They faced week one on broadcast facing a very strong team. Then they went week two getting a bye, which is sort of tough starting off your season, then going on a break, and then coming back from break and taking an L right after that. They do manage to come back with a W to kind of build momentum, and then unfortunately they get knocked down by another pretty big team, Mizzou, who also face a similarly-ish tough schedule. But I guess that's another factor to take in, is did Western Kentucky, how early did they face tough opponents? Are they on a bit of a losing streak? Is it win-loss, win-loss, win-loss? What's the story behind these teams?
Well, and you mentioned, the possibility of comebacks. I mean, look no further than what we've seen in Rocket League and NACE Starleague. Boise State was considered a top team entering the tournament. CRL Worlds attendees, you would think, oh, they just cruised through it. They opened up their season 1-2, and by week 3 had already mathematically eliminated themselves from qualifying outside of the last chance qualifiers. So anything can happen in a normal season, and just because Drexel is undefeated doesn't mean you can't pull off a win here, Western Kentucky. And we'll see if that is the case as we're ready to load right in. Drexel University is going to be bringing out the JQ, whereas bringing out the JQ, whereas Western Kentucky is going to be going on to the Zarya, and also bringing out the Far Mercy as well. First time we've seen that today. See if it can work out for the Hilltoppers in blue, the Dragons in red. Already Drexel moving themselves over toward the Lighthouse. That point will unlock, and now they're going to start charging it up. The Junker Queen now closing that distance between the Zarya is going to bubble in response. The Junker Queen is going to sustain, but that Zarya is starting to get charged up, and a real problem. The Genji is going to be the first one to get a pick, taking out the Sojourn for Drexel University. And a dive right in to make this Baptiste's life even harder. This Genji is really starting to poke at Drexel.
Oh, and there's Western Kentucky getting 2 picks of themselves. Drexel's Lucio going to reset themselves, try and get back with the team here. And I mean, already throughout that, though the fight didn't even end, Drexel was going to get 16%. Western Kentucky ends up taking the W on that team fight and ends up capping the point. They're definitely going to cross over that 60% barrier. They're no longer going to be tied here. Just as I say that second, the Doomfist swap is also going to come out here. The Tracer and the Echo as well, keeping the BAP is going to use Window, and already the Zarya is sitting so low on the HP bar, has a bit of a charge, is going to go down. Effect is also going to get the Genji on the side of Western Kentucky, get a second as well. And that is Western Kentucky out of the fight as Drexel is going to capitalize and get the point.
Drexel with the point in their possession. Doesn't have any ultimates to use, but 2 will be available very soon. The Beat and the Pulse Bomb, whereas Valkyrie, as well as the Genji Blade and Barrage coming out. I mean, that Beat from Beat Stir Fry could be very important because we got some high damage ultimates coming out. We'll see if Drexel's team can't be bailed out. It's going to start with the Kitsune Rush being brought out by King Nation. The Genji Blade as well, getting rid of the Immortality Field. Now looking for a next target, but it's Jeff Goldblum who gets the pick onto Hasa, Affect, and Peanut. And Jeff has a double as well. Complete team wipe. See, the problem was, as Jeff Goldblum will say, is they were so focused on using the Genji Blade, it was a question of whether they could. They never stopped to think about whether they should.
Yep. Love it there. Only had to use one critical piece of utility plus one ult to negate a pretty fight-changing ultimate by itself right there. While they still have 3 others on the board, Western Kentucky has Valkyrie available for themselves. Jeff's going to dive on the high ground here. Going to be forced to use a bit of an ult there, down to half HP. Going to opt for the high ground, tries to get a punch off, not going to be able to do it, dives back on a point. Filling back to the team a little bit. Antar, the duplication comes out as well. It's a lot of damage onto the tank right now. Antar is more than likely to go down. Is going to go down. The res was put on the King Nation there, but Jeff Goldblum's going to immediately put them back in the forever box. Pulse Bomb's going to come out, get one. Peanut's going to get the elimination on the Echo. That's Drexel University back at 100%, taking point 1.
Very short order. Western Kentucky won a team fight at the beginning of the match, and I was thinking, you know, this is exactly why you don't count yourself out. You know, doesn't matter if they're undefeated. You focus on your game right now.
Oh yeah, favored a lot of dives there. I mean, you saw the immediate swap onto 3 very divey characters.
It's a quote I like from a movie. You probably haven't seen it. It's kind of a more niche movie, but it's from a sports movie nonetheless. And the guy who kind of helps the main character get his head back in the game, he says, you know, don't worry about him. We'll play our game and let them worry about theirs.
What's the name of the movie?
Greatest game ever played?
I have seen it. I don't know the line.
That was
But that was like
that was what Eddie, Francis Ouimet's caddy, said. All right, golf movies aside, though, let's go to something completely unrelated with golf Overwatch. Unless you count getting yourself pushed in the well a hole-in-one, I certainly want to see that for this match. And with some Lucio out from Drexel, it's a definite possibility.
Hard to sit here. Trying to swings off. Not finding too much value though, just getting some poke damage in. JQ is going to go in, get a swing off the axe, and the fire strike goes out, going to be pulled in. Now getting pretty low on the health bar there. Bastion's going to go out, commit the wheels. Not going to find anything. Bit of a trade there though. Antar's going to be forced to try and SQ, perhaps get out of the situation though. He's going to be able to successfully do it.
Antar has just been constantly walking back. He's going to start moving forward now. Swinging his hammer, but Jeff Goldblum is going to be able to sustain, slowly get healed back up by this Lucio. He's just running forward now, making a whole lot of space. The Rampage is online for Jeff Goldblum. Oh, no! Wow. He gets taken out! Oh, Team Nation.
What an absolute shutdown of the ultimate right there. Rampage absolutely denied. Effecto is going to counter the 1 though, getting support. Bobby's going to get Effect back though and get the res off as well. Antar's going to charge in, use the Sim TP, trying to get a creative play going. Now we have Battle Cattle on the field right here, looking to counter out the Rhine a bit. Oh, and there's a beautiful pick by Pest Control onto the Bastion. Shatter is also available here as well. Valkyrie was used last fight, so that's not available. You love Particle Barrier. There goes out Window as well. Now trying to bully Antar. Back in this room, is going to successfully do it, and it's going to push Western Kentucky off the point.
Yeah, here's the problem that I see with this Shatter is who do you use it against?
Yeah.
You've got the Echo that's in the air, the Tracer who has so many movement abilities can just TP away, Lucio's wall riding, and then Orisa can just make herself immune to CC, so it's hard to find a chance to even use this. Going to try to use it immediately. Yep, there you go.
Yep. There's that point. Did not wait for that cooldown at all. Used it earlier. Wasn't really watching it. And now just an absolute slaughter fest here. Antar's going to be getting one, but that's about it. Drexel's going to clean up the rest. And now they're sitting at 90%. Western Kentucky's going to make some swaps here if they're looking to contest. They go out for the trade. They'll be sticking with the Rhine, though, however. Also going to switch to the Alari. The last 2% down to the 1. No
Yeah, they
OT,
can't get to the
as
point
there's
in time.
Nobody close to get the point, and that is Drexel taking map number 1 of a best of 5. Got 2 more to go if Western Kentucky has nothing else to say about it.
Beef Stir Fry is going to get the play of the game as the Lucio. I have to wonder, is a boop in our future? It sure is. That's what we were asking for, and I'm glad we could see it.
There's that random swing of the hammer that just finds pest control as well. That's super unfortunate, but they win the team fight nonetheless. Now I'll push on to the next one, and we've got to go back to the same discussion. Is it Kings Row? We saw a little bit of the out of ordinary first pick.
Yep.
Right. So going off of what we talked about last series, are we likely to see a out of the norm?
Well,
pick this
let's think about what the team who's choosing it, Western Kentucky, what they've been playing. They wanted to stick on the Rhine.
Yeah.
For all and well. And so, I mean, Ryan can be good on Kings Row, so I would say, hey, if we got someone who's ultimately comfortable on Rhine, then let's pull out Kings Row.
Shield's not too bad, though, on Ike, though. It's not the
It
worst.
isn't
It's not the worst thing. It's not the
Unless
worst
you're
thing you
going
could
up
pull out.
against Azaria, which we found out earlier.
Which more than likely Drexel University, I would imagine, is well versed in seeing how dominant Zarya has been in Season 6. So it's once again a pick or poison, especially when you're going against a team like Drexel, who is not going to be a team where you're going to be able. I mean, we saw the swap off of one competition to another of going a little bit. What was the first one going to a dive and kind of fully. What was a complete turnaround of the circumstances of Western Kentucky won that first point. They got to like 20%, and then after that, they had no contestment after that. It wasn't a contest.
Well, off stage, like a cat that ate the canary, we're seeing a smile from Artie right now, who is looking at us and spelling out what the stage is going to choose. Right now, while we wait on the stage, let's take a look. Oh, they're not even going to be telling, so we're just going to see. But right now, let's take a look back at what led us to this point. Western Kentucky got off to such a promising start on Lighthouse, taking the point away, got it up to a 27% charge, but then Drexel came roaring back and then just really didn't stop from there on out.
No, yeah, they had complete momentum control that entire time. And even when Western Kentucky did make those very important picks, even on second point as well, it just wasn't enough.
Oh!
I'll take the point on this. I finally made a correct call for once.
Now, you might be asking yourself, if you had only watched us for the past few weeks, why are they making such a big beef about Kings Row if it's only been chosen one or twice? Remember, there's like a 7-year debt we're paying off very little by just nothing but Kings Row.
We forgot we had a credit card. We thought we closed it. Thought it went away. It didn't. It's still there. But now we're happy that we're making payments.
Yep, we're slowly chipping away at it. So let's get down to Eichenwald, see what we have put out beside us.
No.
Eichenwald, we didn't manage to make it to the bridge last time. And we do have a substitution being brought in. Pest Control is going to be rotating out from Drexel.
Which I believe Pest Control, I think, was our resident Tracer player as well. So, so many times we talked about it before, when personally not me, but you and Artie have talked about it in terms of when you bring in a sub like this, typically it might be somebody that's a specialty that's pretty good on one specific thing or a specific amount of characters or what they do. I'm interested to see exactly what the sub out does. Maybe Drexel was accounting for this new, we're not making the map pick here, so depending on what we get, let's make a sub out here.
We're ready to load in and see if Drexel will continue their winning streak. Most likely they're going to be starting off on defense, so they get choice of side if tradition is to be followed, but we've been breaking a lot of traditions here lately in terms of escort in the NACE Starleague, so.
And I'm not opposed to it by one ounce. Ah, there it is. There's a bit of a reference we get.
Cinematic.
Fly through. Looking pretty. I believe that's a Bastion outline I see as well. Definitely Genji. I believe that's Lucio. And a Zarya. Yeah, I'm going to go with that's Drexel right there. About as a second sport.
Yep, everything lines up in terms of team composition for me to guess that that's Drexel.
Haven't seen Red though. Outlines. That's probably my favorite guessing game. Guess the outlines from a very, very far distance across the map when they're all bunched up in one area. Can't
Well, the
clearly
guessing
tell.
game is going
Gonna have to
to
wait.
continue just right now. But if I'm to look at those outlines, I don't know if I saw a. Oh man, no, I'm
know what I
not. I'm not
saw.
even gonna guess. That's
even
too.
dive
I'm
into
not gonna
that.
try. No.
That's a box of unknown goodies that I don't think anyone wants to try their luck at. Not one bit.
Well, see, also, I'm just glad that this is Overwatch and not Valorant and us trying to guess the outlines. That would be a lot harder
That'd
to
be
do
very,
on
that'd be
Valorant.
very hard. I think that like the guess the rank type things that a lot of YouTubers and Twitch do, but instead, hey, guess the character.
Guess the
from
character.
abnormally far distance away from the spawn point. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, they should make that an eye exam, the Overwatch eye exam. You've got like Orisa at the top and the bottom. You've got like, is it Ash or Cassidy?
Which, I mean, do you think skins, I don't think skins would make a massive difference in that, but could they play some bit of a difference?
They could if you really wanted to make it. If you really wanted to make it a difficult game, you could.
I think it'd be interesting. I think that's a bit somebody's got to steal.
Yeah.
That's somebody send it to somebody. Get it done.
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of Icon Vault. I really want to see us at least get to the bridge.
Yeah.
Because the bridge is just such a wild card. Yes, I know. Someone's giving me a look off stage. Yes, I know. I'm a simplistic person who just likes seeing environmental kills. Nonetheless, I get it. Okay.
You like what you like.
It's like the the neuron activated meme. That's me when I'm seeing an environmental. Okay. Just let me have that, and then I'm happy for the game.
You like what you like.
Not much, but it's all I have. All right, let's hop into the actual game. We are all set to load out Drexel versus Western Kentucky. Drexel, as we surmised, is going to be defending first. And here, I like this range a lot better for playing the guessing game. This is
100% better. That's an Orisa, 100%. That's a Sojourn.
I see a Bastion.
See a Bastion. Production's giving us a bit of help here, getting ever so closely until they 180 pan snap away from this. And
4, 3,
then we look like,
2, 1. Attackers incoming.
All right, they go charging out. The Hilltoppers on attack first. Using Lucio's speed boost to get up to the archway in record time. Now they're going to have to decide which route they want to take. Asa was taking a little bit longer, but now with the Lucio speed boost is going to be able to push past that choke point. Move over to the left as Jeff Goldblum repositions. Already, look at that charge on the Zarya. That is going to be a left mouse button that'll guide you to victory, and it does take out the Bastion. Now, who's next? Going to get booped away. Zarya's trying to protect all the squishies with bubbles. Or this Orisa, excuse me, but this Zarya is just too much.
even so, it's going to be our Bastion on the side of Drexel University that's going to be the one to pick up 2 there. I'm going to go with for Arc, maybe. I'm just going to stick with Fur, simpler. But that first push by the side of West Kentucky is going to be null and void. They're not going to get any touch on point and get no progress on it. And this is a Drexel University pushing up so far. Effects are going to get 1, get 2. Peanut also credited with 1. And Jeff's also going to get 1 as well. And that was only at the cost of a window, I believe. Yeah, while Drexel is also sitting at 95, 70, 84, and a Genji Blade now. So here's the swap away from Marisa onto Sigma as well. A May and a Sojourn. Swap as well. I believe the Sojourn's
that poor Lucio! Oh, that was devastating.
That was nasty.
Hellfire rained down from above. Affect also gets a pick onto King Nation. Both supports on the tank bite the dust. Western Kentucky back to start you go.
That is tough. Also, window being committed there is not great. That's an ultimate that really could help you push and gain a lot of ground. Now he's not there anymore as grab is looking juicy. There's artillery. Gonna be blocked out a bit. Not gonna find a whole lot of value there. Ball's gonna go out to Genji. Still sitting at nearly 80 charge here. Effect's gonna get 1 as well. Diving on to the May. Effect's gonna get 2 more with the blade. Count it as 3. This is just Drexel University giving up absolutely no ground. They baited in Western Kentucky at the beginning, got a high charge eye, and since then they have not let up.
Just a little bit over a minute for Kentucky to push through. We see a swap over to the Ramatra for Western Kentucky. First time we've seen him be brought out, but the Zarya, no matter who the tank is just going to continue to charge right up. Immortality Field spent, steps out of the way of the Ramatra's damage, and now focuses everything they have onto the tank. He falls, everyone else falls. I mean, that was just literally a waiting game on the Ramatra's cooldowns. Once everything was gone, they were going.
And this twice we've seen Fur also miss this, this grenade jump. I also want to note in the back, you might have seen the outline, a just completely uncontested effect in the back of Western Kentucky, just getting elimination after elimination until the team was basically unable to support itself. And there's Window committed out again. There goes out grab. Gonna get a massive amount though, but it sits them right in front of Window. Not gonna be able to capitalize on it though. Blizzard goes out as well. Noodle's gonna get 1. And there's 2 more cleaned up by the side of Western Kentucky, and it looks like in the final seconds of this push, they're going to be able to cap the point and keep this map alive, at least for the side of Western Kentucky's attack.
Won't have too much time to push. They only get the minimum 2.5 minutes to make it to the next checkpoint. A good bit of that is going to be spent just waiting for the castle gate to open.
Yeah. And this is the point where a lot of our players, especially as already pointed out previously, that a lot of the players don't love this choke point. Actually, I'm not going to say a lot, but there's at least one player I know that doesn't like this checkpoint simply because you can get so bogged down here as an attacking team.
Arc is going to bring out the artillery shells. So it seems like he hasn't yet chosen his targets, waiting that one out. Western Kentucky, they do have Annihilation online for the Ramatra. They're going to be heading into the castle, make this a little bit more close quarters. Go into Nemesis mode, try to take out that Lucio wall off Jeff Goldblum, who's now all charged up, kept punching into the Zarya shield. Does still manage to take out Jeff Goldblum, but I was nervous for everything right there. That Zarya was juiced up.
That is one way to punch the death ticket right there. Like you said, eventually goes down, loses the charge, but that push at the end of the day is null and void, and it's exactly what we're talking about now. Just mitigated to really only about 1.5 team fights here, depending how fast they really last. But they still got so long to go. Drexel University really can just choose how they want to play it from this point on, and all the pressure's on Western Kentucky.
Zarya is situated up high and is going to get walled off by the Mei. At pretty low health, they're not beating Zarya too much. Wonder if they might have... Oh no, they're going to jump down to the point themselves. This next archway, very crucial that they hold the Ramatra or Pete pushes someone off. Wall goes up, Graviton Surge online by Drexel. It's spent, they're bunched up. There isn't too much of a follow-up in terms of damage, and a Blizzard on the counterattack for Western Kentucky picks up Jeff Goldblum.
Burark's going to get one, though. Now going to our artillery. Not going to get a whole lot of damage off, though. Drexel University makes the quick swap over to the Doomfist. Effect's going to pick up one as well, but there was a trade by the Bastion for the Bastion on the side of Drexel. Just staggering out. Ramacha's going to pick up one onto support here. Now Drexel University fighting to keep this payload off the second point here. Window's going to be committed to the fight as well. Burark making the swap onto Sims, going to pick up two. Effect's going to pick up the third here, and a no longer existent Western Kentucky team is going to be pushed off the point. But they pushed a pretty good amount, farther than what we saw the first time we saw it.
0-1.
Western Kentucky claimed the payload with no time left on the clock. And Drexel stopped them with no time left on the clock right before the checkpoint.
The irony.
And I have to wonder if just Jeff Goldblum hanging so long onto this Zarya was a factor. He swapped over to the Doom at the very end, which seemed like a good swap, but it just wasn't getting any mileage whatsoever in the second third of this map.
Had a good amount of charge, too. There wasn't a whole lot of times that we went on POV and saw the Zarya sitting at a low charge and not getting a whole lot of value. Just couldn't find the eliminations in terms of it. That will sometimes make a really good player of knowing when to swap. Value is measurable in a ton of different ways, especially when it comes to Overwatch. But now it's Drexel on the side of attack, which, if the way they held the first point is anything to indicate how they're going to take the first point, it's looking dangerous to Western Kentucky.
Battle Cattle being brought out by Western Kentucky.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So just stick that cow right on top of the hill and
Defend objective A.
ooh, we're gonna
two
see
opposing
two.
battle
Okay. And Beef Stir Fry immediately gets eliminated. Lucio's been peeking out around that corner, have not been treated kindly. Burark trying to find a flank, but immediately gets found out, has to regroup with the team. Javelin hits this Orisa, but quickly heals back up. No huge major damage being brought up. Now this is a little hairy. Okay, I was wondering if Jeff had pushed up too far, but his supports managed to group up with him, rotate around the corner as Burark is going to take them from an off angle as well. Waiting for that turret. Grenade comes off a cooldown, and now turret form is available as well. Gonna head into it. Push it onto the Mei, who walls it off to survive. They also have to get rid of the Immor field.
I think this is the first time we've all seen Alari in competition for this week as well. Pylon's gone down twice, and the healing is just simply not enough. Peanut's going to get the elimination, get two as well. Might be looking for the third, isn't going to get it though, but nonetheless, a Western Kentucky team falls after chewing about a minute off the clock. But it's going to be a lot of time for Drexel to push 118.75 meters.
They have exactly double the time that Western Kentucky had to push the same amount. Burark now coming online with the artillery. Genji Blade and Terra Surge also very close. In fact, both Terra Surges will be available to be used for this fight. Western Kentucky, though, sticking mainly to the high ground, doesn't want to meet them on the same level. The only thing that's going to happen is the pylon is eliminated.
A turret strike could be used here to push them off the high ground as well, depending if they've gone up far enough. Asa's going to find one on Peanut. King Nation's going to commit the stun. Gonna get 3, gonna take it on the last, gets effect. Beast Stride is not gonna be affected by the Sun's ability though. Just gonna stall out here as some even trades. Noodle's gonna pick up 2 though, and now it's West Kentucky on the complete retaliation. Soldier's gonna pick up 1 as well, and Drexel University having to reset here and go for it again, but still 3 minutes and 55 seconds on the clock here. There's a lot defending Western Kentucky's gonna have to do.
I mean, it feels like a lot, but they are, to be fair, halfway to their goal. So they are on pace to actually claim this. There are a whole lot of ultimates left for Western Kentucky that Drexel has to deal with.
All the pressure's on Western Kentucky to perform here and to really do their best while it's on the side of Drexel of, you know, hey, we still got a lot of time here to work with. We can play this map how we want to play this map. We're not under any pressure right now. Pylon in a pretty exposed position though, but Overclock is going to push them a little bit back, and Retaliate's used as well. I'm not going to find any value on the side of Overclock, as Forax is going to get 1 onto the tank though. Soldier's going to trade out that same tank as well though. Now his Visor as well. Effects can get the elimination though. Forax going to get 1 on support as well. There goes down to 2nd. And this is going to be quite a bit of room for Drexel to push the payload.
There is a swap from Western Kentucky. They're moving over to the Diva as their tank. Western Kentucky has really been swapping out their tank pick a lot. We've seen Ramatra come in, Ryan. Now Diva joins the fray. Oh, that's a really nicely lined up grenade. And look at this angle. The Kriko just doesn't know Feroric is there. Nafect is also going to get in on the eliminations. That immediately just helps Drexel go into the parking spot, win that 2nd round, and put themselves to match point.
Take a look at the game of the play here. It's gonna be Jeff Goldblum. This is super early in the matchup here. Just the dive opens up so much space, a high charge, window gets committed, and then from there just a Western Kentucky team falls. We did see that Zarya get pumped a lot and be a significantly high amount of charge almost the entirety of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, you know, just don't shoot at the Zarya, but the problem is because that other bubble is so, you know, the one you place onto teammates is, you know, it is going to be reverted. It is reverted, but that was when Zarya was at her biggest strength. It was just such a pain to deal with. So, you know, a Zarya that knows to unexpectedly place that bubble onto the teammates, you know, is just so hard to play around. Very annoying.
I believe if the news that I have sort of read at least is true, is that Zarya is gonna be nerfed a little bit going into season 7.
Oh yeah.
100%. You could be an Overwatch noob and probably look at the way this game played out and go like, yeah, that's gonna be a pretty harsh nerf gonna get. I think it's keeping I think the size and the cooldown is going to be reverted back to normal. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on anything I say, quite honestly.
Don't quote. That's great.
It's very general information I'm giving you here, so take it with a very harsh amount of salt.
Now, the size is actually going to be the same, but the most important thing is the cooldown is going to be increased. So, you know, sometimes we just see, and the charge most importantly. So you're going to be able to lose the bubble less, and you're not going to be, you know, so consistently above 80 and just doing complete damage to the other team.
Just mowing through to the point where, you know, you're talking about the counters, talking about Ryan, but as pointed out, it's kind of easier with that Lucio speed amp to just kind of, hey, just with a lot of support behind you, you can easily walk behind a Ryan and just kind of target squishies that aren't able to do much else if they don't have a movement ability to get around from it. But we are looking to go into the 3rd point here, and it is going to be Servasa that we are going to see as the potential final map we see. That is if Drexel manages to clutch it out and go 3-0, which would be the 3rd 3-0 we see tonight, if that happens.
And nothing but a night of sweeps. Drexel would most assuredly secure their spot in the playoffs with a 5-0 record. As much as grief as we've given Kings Row for being picked endlessly, Servasta is giving it a run for its money, I gotta say.
Flashpoint's only been out for like 2 months, if that. I don't think like you said, 7 years.
I mean, but I mean, I get it. There's only 2 stages, but also there's 2. You would think it's 50-50, but no, Servasta just might, you know.
I think it was also Matt on here that I forget exactly the reason, but Matt gave a pretty good explanation, if I remember correctly, as to why not a lot of people liked the other side of that coin. Where I think it was, I'm not even going to try to remember his words.
It's just
too open. Yes.
Yeah, too open.
Mm-hmm.
And you generally want a stage that provides a little bit of all. I mean, having a stage that's too wide open, oh man, that can be really oppressive. If you got a good sniper on the other team or just really long range heroes,
Royale.
if you don't have, you know, if you don't have natural cover to hide behind and make things a little bit closer, oftentimes a stage that is really favored to long range sniper-like heroes, it's often like, oh, I don't even get to play the game because I walk out into this big open space and the sniper immediately just clicks my head.
Someone's pixel peeking me. I think that's the crazy thing about Circuit Royale is that like that tiny little pixel peek spot that they see. Not exactly pixel peek, but if you've seen it, you know what I mean. But yeah, I do agree with that.
Well, if you want to see people looking at individual pixels waiting for one to change color, just tune in tomorrow for Valorant, and then you'll really see people really focusing.
Kind of have to win the game. Waiting to go into it though. Could be the potential 3-0 sweep for the side of Drexel University. That is if Western Kentucky does not have anything to say about it.
Now, all the teams basically focusing on Lucio to be their main go-to. I think Flashpoint, I mean, Lucio's always been a great hero because he can provide so much utility to your team, but I mean, Flashpoint, just on how huge the stages are, he's kind of become a must-pick in a lot of different situations.
And just in the sense of getting from point to point, being that taxi for the entire team, and also that engage and disengage entirely with Lucio is so important in Flashpoint. And like you sort of said, important in all respect at a very high level of competition because those players can utilize it to the absolute maximum with the Lucio that knows how to play that. But yeah, Flashpoint is just, I think it was like almost like day 2 or 3 that people were talking about. Oh, hey, Lucio's going to be a
Well,
must-pick.
remember, Lucio, what does he say? He always says, can't stop, won't stop, and apparently Blizzard doesn't want to stop him because he's yet to see a nerf in Overwatch 2.
Wow,
He's
really?
just been much like how he can just, stall out on point and be, he has just been dodging every single bullet that a potential nerf could bring out. Has just been staying on point. And yeah, I mean, there's no wonder why he's picked so much. But I also think, there is a little bit of Lucio because the best Lucios are just so nimble and know how to wall ride so well. There's sort of always a little bit of, it's not a thing of, oh, this character is so broken and busted, I'm angry because it's just auto hands wins. With a character like Lucio, which can require very technical, there's often times where it's like, okay, I got to tip my hat to you. You've definitely done your homework.
It definitely shows, and I feel like that can show for a lot of characters. In Overwatch, obviously, there's also the counters of that coin, the other side of it, that there are quite a few characters that most players would argue don't, but yeah, at the highest level, at any map, and especially Flashpoint, Lucio is going to be a very key point of it. I'd almost like to see how effective a team is using other modes of transportation, like a Sim, like a JQ Shout, against the team that has a Lucio, and see just how well
that's a
pans
method
out.
of transportation that requires a lot less technical skill. You place the teleporter and you go.
You're just there.
Drexel University going to be in the blue. Western Kentucky sticking in the red. Drexel looks to have gotten to the point first and is making as much space as they can for themselves. In fact, this Symmetra has placed her turrets on the opposite side of the arch, which I guess they're going to try to ring around the rosy and push Drexel back. But Jeff Goldblum has tons of sustain as the Junker Queen Furark is going to be able to take out the Zarya. And the rest of the team, their days are numbered once she goes down.
Very split from the start of that fight. I mean, we see some take the TP, some take the TP and fall down, some not. We saw the Sim on the other side of the point. Absolute brutal gameplay from the side of Drexel that picked that team apart. And they captured the point first, and like we've seen 3 other matches in several other weeks, these points go quick. And if you don't want to lose first point, lose all momentum possibly gained. Especially against a team like Drexel, you've got to get in, you've got to contest fast, you've got to win the fight.
Barak just hanging out on the side ground, immediately spots the Symmetra teleporter being placed down. So Western Kentucky is now still stuck on the ground floor. 2 windows are going to be expunged. Genji's going to try to push them off of the high ground. And Anolska is able to get a good bit of mileage up against Drexel. Might not be, it will be enough for Western Kentucky to take the point away, but Jeff Goldblum is still sticking around, able to take out Javi. Thing is, though, he is a Lucio, so he'll be back to the point pretty darn fast.
Yeah, a little faster than a Baptiste as well. That is if the Team Lucio did not go back to the taxi. But they did manage to get point here, and at 84%. This next team fight, if Drexel wins it, point will more than likely take the TP out.
They
as
all
well.
they just TP out.
They dipped, they left. There's nothing to fight when they're not there. Particle Barrier was used. Now it's the Sim being targeted. The bubble's going to save a bit. Rampage is available, but not anymore because Junk Queen goes down. Be Stir Fry. And 2 others go down for the side of Drexel University as.
But I think Drexel has a pretty good press Q to win strategy lined up. Beef Stir Fry is going to be able to get them back to that point in time. They just all slam it down in Western Kentucky. They got 1 beat. They've got a beat in the Genji Blade. So once you get that beat out of the way.
Oh, they didn't touch?
Oh man, they didn't even get there in time. Well then, we'll just save those ultimates for the rest of the flashpoints and see if we can't go in a positive direction after this. They do get to Palace pretty quickly. But Anatar is waiting for them, takes out Affect. Jeff Goldblum moves in with the Rampage, gets an anti onto a lot of them. Immortality Field is placed down as well as the beat. King Nation still gets taken out by Jeff Goldblum. Graviton Surge is going to be used. The Immortality Field is thrown down to help them last through it. Rorik, grenade onto Asa. Nolska also bites the dust. Both DPS is gone for the Hilltoppers. Stir Fry gets rid of their tank. And it's a pretty long team fight, all things considered, and a lot of ultimates used, but Drexel emerges the victors.
But you can't do that on Flashpoint because the point takes 30 seconds to activate and to become available, and that fight started when it was like 20-something seconds. It was on the lower part of 20, so they're going to be able to get in here and contest the point and potentially win the team fight before this Flashpoint meter gets up too high, but that is if they manage to win the team fight entirely, as Drexel University has Blade and Window available for them, where Western Kentucky has the same. But also Particle Barrier to boot with it as well. A bit of a TP over to the other window, trying to cause mayhem in the back. King Nation's going to get 1. Beast Stirfight's going to trade. Obby's going to get another. That is the tank down on the side of West Kentucky, whereas 2 DPS down. Blade's also committed by Nolska, looking to get out. Can't do it. Effect to get 1 on King Nation as well. This might be Kentucky or Drexel University taking point number 2.
I would think so. You have to look at Javi's respawn. He just comes in. He's going to have to book it, and even then, because Hassa was staggered a little bit, I don't know if the full team can get there. Yeah, they'll just leave this over toward Drexel. We're all tied up again.
I'll turn it up.
Fountain goes. That's one thing I just love about Flashpoint also, is just the little animations and sound effects that play when you capture each Flashpoint.
A little bit different than last time we saw Flashpoint here. Instead of being very close to each other, it goes a little bit in the favor of Western Kentucky. They're able to set up a bit early, being cautious of these turrets. Not looking to fall to any of them. Now they've engaged with the turret. They're taken out. In fact, looking for the next opponent to dive into. Wheels was used. Transformation is out of it, but Artillery Strike is available as well. Gonna go for it. try and find a very cornered pick onto Avi. Beat's also available. Drexel University might not need it. Not going for the environmental, not able to do it. Effect is gonna get the diving pick. And yeah, there's just
There
some
they go.
eliminations. Get a quick reset. Gave yourself the chance to get in before the meter gets too high on second point.
More crucially, Drexel University only had one ultimate that they could have used for that fight, the beat. But now they're going to be getting a much more, I mean, the beat is very consequential, don't get me wrong, but the Graviton Surge also, this is going to be great for them in this next fight to have that at their disposal.
Also with window to boot, particle barrier probably, if effectively used here.
Immediately they're going to use Graviton Surge. Zarya's all charged up. Immortality Field is spent, and the teleporter is brought out by the Symmetra to help them get away. Window now placed. This Zarya realizes there's a whole lot of damage being placed onto her. Can bubble through it, however, and Furark is able to take out Hassa, but it's traded back by Affect, and Key Nation goes off the edge. He wasn't even booped off. Oh, that's huge. Oh, that healing gone for the Hilltoppers, and Drexel keeping control of the flashpoint.
I'd imagine that wasn't very planned. Once again, don't know exactly the communication. We eventually see Antar do it as well of, throw myself off the edge, get the reset going here. But definitely a decisive play nonetheless, whether it was planned or not. Now rotating over towards the potential fourth and final flashpoint as well. Drexel University is going to be able to set up first. But Western Kentucky having 3 ults available to their team's name, whereas Drexel will only have Blade and possibly Artillery Strike heading into this. Flashpoint's going to open up a couple of seconds. There's Grab. The Blade's going to come out. Immortality's used, but that's not going to stop it. Jeff Goldblum gets a trade, though. We use a DPS for both sides of it. Blade for the side of Effect is also available for Drexel University. So far, no eliminations. It looks like Western Kentucky might be the ones that can test the point first. The Blade goes out, but Effect is real low here. Gets the elimination, but gets traded out. Western Kentucky's still in this. We see Furark now coming back into the fight. A super scrappy fight this has been this entire time. Beat goes out. Windows available. Grab gets used on the side of Drexel.
Oh, we have it's a Star Wars battle right now. The lightsabers are out. Which Zarya is gonna stand up? Well, anticlimactically, I suppose that wasn't so much a Star Wars fight, more a Star Wars sequel fight. The disappointing end.
Only if you saw it when it came out.
Only
Saw it now.
Alrighty. Move back in. Western Kentucky. Did manage to get a little bit of a charge on the point. This artillery show right around Bastion himself. Beat is going to be used by Drexel, help keep him alive in the face of this window that's been placed down by Western Kentucky. Zarya still is completely charged up. Sim is trying to place down turrets and a lot of teleports too, trying to sneakily use them. Oh, that's a lot of damage being placed onto that. Zarya charges up the Graviton Surge. It's a draw in terms of eliminations until Western Kentucky, with the help of that Sim, punches through and eliminates Drexel. But there is going to be time for one more team fight.
This sim player, wow, I can't even pronounce the correct name, has been so effective in using the TPs to get out of situations and hasn't been punished for it yet. Like, nobody's been able to triangulate where this sim is going and effectively punish here, as Western Kentucky's now approaching 15% until they secure the point. Now up to 10. Particle Barrier gets out as well. Blade is available. Drexel will have Graviton Surge as well as Window. Gonna be looking to capitalize before those things can be used. Window gets pumped out. Gets 2 eliminations on some pretty vital players. Grav is used as well. Gets 2 to trade back to the side of Drexel. Now trying to get some eliminations. And Oska gets 1 on to the Zarya. Now just trying to stay alive. Not a whole lot of support from the teammates here. Gonna go down. Javi, I think, is the last for the side of Western Kentucky that's on this point. Trying to stall out for the team. Is going to go down. And Drexel University is going to be able to cap. but they will be able to get one more fight in before this point is given to Drexel.
Well, it looked like Western Kentucky might take that flashpoint, but Drexel found a way to win, and Jeff Goldblum, now with the ball, comes back to remind us that life finds a way.
Life endures. It'll find a way. Approaching 94%. The Sim TP comes out, trying to put a stop to it. The touch is there. Immortality used. Effect can't really use Blade effectively. Trying to get a last second slash in. Wasn't able to get too much damage, but now is behind the support. Might be a good elimination. Sim's gonna get one when he traded out though. That's a DPS for a support there.
Peanut!
Now both supports, another DPS. And Noska trying to stay alive. Peanut
Wow!
pops off on the Kiri.
Lands those knives and wins it for Drexel.
I would not be surprised if that's play.
That has to be. I mean, that's consequential. It's at least a triple. Game, you can't not give Peanut the... No? Okay. Oh, well. But, I mean, Jeff Goldblum is... I mean, yeah, you can very... Yeah, he's always a song.
It's interchangeable. That's what it ends up being. Yeah, it finds a lot of value.
All right, congrats to Drexel. That is another sweep, and Drexel is going to remain undefeated in this season. Only a few weeks left until we are done with the regular season. I believe it's 7 weeks, so week 5, we're getting down to it.
Oh yeah, going 5-0 is nothing to scoff at. It's definitely nothing, and you know, I would love to see the other standings of the other teams in that entire league as well, or that division, so to speak, just to see what exactly is Drexel's competition there, and to see if we're going to see Drexel facing off against a possible Nether Giant that's in their division. I think that'd be a matchup that I personally want to be able to see. I think a lot of other people want to see as well.
Well, get ready because we're about to go inside the actor's studio and talk directly to Jeff Goldblum right after this break. So you are not gonna go away. We'll be back with our post-game discussion after a few minutes. Swinging his hammer, Jeff Goldblum is going to be able to sustain.
can't see through your skin. I'm not your guardian. I can't see through your skin.
Welcome back to the NACE Starleague studio, ready for our post-game discussion, and we have brought in Jeff Goldblum from Drexel University to talk about the match that just transpired. You can see him on the monitor, ready to talk to us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I wanted to ask the first question. We often make a point here, kind of a running joke, to talk about how often Kings Row is chosen as a hybrid, but we've been seeing a lot of Eichenwald all of a sudden. So I wanted to know, your team didn't have the map choice going into Eichenwald, but did you feel that you were prepared for playing on Eichenwald?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it's our favorite map to play, but we definitely do scrim and practice it a good amount, and we were ready to pull it out if needed.
And I'm gonna have one small question, one follow-up question. First off, what is the favorite map to play if it's not Eichenwald? If it's King Rose, don't give me an answer. Second, if we had a substitution for Furark in the case of pest control, can you walk me through what was the decision-making process behind that?
Oh, yeah, well, King's Row is, of course, the comfort, so you know how it is. But Furark, he plays a little bit more Bastion than Pest Control does, so on maps that we feel like Bastion is really dominant, we sub him in order to utilize that more.
Great, yeah, I love it.
All right, and we also saw, just talk us a little bit through about your play as a tank, because you were such an instrumental figure, but we did see just a little bit of a kind of a scrappy fight toward the end of Servasta, especially on the 4th flashpoint.
Yeah, it got a little rough there, but we ended up pulling through. I mean, honestly, flashpoint is not our strong point. It's not our strong suit, and we need some more time on it, but we were able to make it work, even if it was a little scrappy at the end.
Well, I would certainly say you found a way to make it work. You're currently 5-0 in the season, so congrats on your win, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Well, as you know, the fun just doesn't stop here at NACE Esports, because we have got a 4th match for you. Boise State versus Kansas. We'll close it out with that stage right after this break, so you are not going to want to go away. There's another look at the schedule, just where we've been and where we have yet to go. Boise State versus Kansas on deck for us here at NACE Esports. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly.
pale gray, all dust and fade. When I call for you, all I hear back is pain. Every song must end, even diamonds fade. When the darkness comes, I count up my mistakes. We were the thunder and the lightning, burn fire, started fighting the spark. I would spend it just to watch you twirl. It was us against the world. You were the rain falling on my skin. Yeah, I was dying when you pulled me in. I was your rebel and you were my girl. It was us against the world.
Welcome back to the NACE Starleague studio. It's all led up to this. We go to the final match of the night, Boise State versus Kansas in NACE Starleague Overwatch. I'm still your host, Jacob Palmer. I'm joined by Colin Majunkin. And of course, if we're talking about Boise State, there is no better person to give us the ins and outs of Boise State than Artemis Rain. So we've brought Artie back to join us all in a making history, I believe. The first three-person cast in the studio.
Yes, I'm super excited to be here, but I felt like this was a pseudo, we got a little bit of a surprise that we were able to pull in this broadcast and that we got permission from both schools to do it rather last minute. And with that being said, I'm a retired Overwatch player from our school, and of course I still sniff push my nose into the chat room from time to time. I'm like, hey, can I just chill here? And I will just hang out, and they're all really good friends of mine, so why not throw us all together here to have this glorious moment of, as we're getting closer to playoffs, kind of celebrate what they can accomplish and then make fun of them when they screw up.
Well, there might just be some of that in store because everyone has had sweeps today. So if neither of these teams, if they win, don't get a sweep, it's going to be that much more. It's going to be that much more obvious to everybody because they haven't matched the pace. Speaking of the pace of what's been sent today, let's take a look at everything that's led up to this point. We started out the night with Northeastern going up against St. Clair. The Saints won that 3-0. Then Mizzou won their match 3-0 against Southern Miss. And then we just saw Drexel University beat Western Kentucky again 3-0. So like I said, the standard's been set on what's acceptable here tonight.
So you're saying if this isn't a 3-0 sweep in either direction, I'm allowed to give this team a B?
Yes.
All right. My
Maybe a
first
C.
B. Ooh, I get permission to dock someone all the way down to a C. You're passing your class, barely good enough to get your degree. Just remember that. D's aren't good enough, C's to get degrees still. So, C is not bad, but of course you could be doing better.
You definitely could be. I mean, I would say if it goes to like 5 games and like they really struggle, that would probably be a C.
I have to agree with that. If we go all 5 games, that's a C.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I think you have to go 3-0. I mean, maybe the teams aren't watching the broadcast. Maybe we're totally assuming they have no utter idea what we're talking about. But you should just feel the energy. You should get 3-0.
And we're going to be starting off on Lijon Tower. Back to old classics, as it were, for Control. So we started things out with a little bit of variety in our lives, but now we're back to kind of just the standard picks. And we're going to be starting out, well, we are going to be starting out on one of these 3. I got a little bit too ahead of myself here.
Okay, so if we were to pick a team that is very much so the plain Janes of NACE right now, I have to say it. The Broncos, they run pretty standard compositions. The creativity, it's not there. The creativity and the play style of said comps comes through sometimes when we see a Sojourn sliding into a brawl comp directly in the center. But other than that, they run some things that are very predictable and very scoutable.
Capture the objective.
And immediately a sim teleport is brought out to help these teams get to that center point in day market, I suppose. Here we go. Kansas is going to be in the blue. Boise State's not in the blue. Something's wrong here. But anyway, neither team is actually going to teleport onto the point itself. We actually been fighting off the point. My dog died. Oh my goodness, that's sad.
Wow.
It's going to be playing the Battle Cattle, trying to take this Echo out of the air. Doesn't find clear. Instead, Boise State rotates over the point. Kansas rotates over the point, and it's going to be the first ones to take it.
Oh, yeah. Also, I'm not entirely biased in favor of the Broncos in this instance. Hawk, on the side of Kansas, he and I have met in ladder. We are actually friends on Battle.net, so Pseudo want to see Hawk pop off just a little bit more. Unfortunately, the Broncos, with Cal coming in on the Sigma, which is not what we normally run, so I will admit there's a little bit of pizzazz, a little sparkle thrown in here on the standard comp that we see here for the Broncos. No Reinhardt, we got a Sigma.
Boise State sneakily takes the point back for themselves. As Kansas is pushed so far forward up, they don't realize the Sig that's behind them, who slams them down into the ground with the lift. None of them are going to fall, however. Goldie is there with the beat to bail them out. Clear and Lyric with a teleport in, pushing so much damage, as well as Mouse getting rid of Goldie, picking up a double for himself. Clear also gets a double, and that's going to be a team fight 1 for the Broncos.
We walk into this next fight. We're going to have Poppy and Window online for the Broncos. Close to the Terra Surge, May Blizzard, as well as Amplification Matrix coming out for Kansas. Going to be interested to see who Clear decides to copy, and whether or not that copy is either immediately eliminated or we actually do see a ultimate go off, as we here. Amplification Matrix in the high ground, but easily LOS by the Broncos. Unfortunately, both Baptiste and May will fall shortly after thinking. And then My Dog Died also dies.
The only time Blue ever showed up in that kill feed was taking out Immortality and Pylon there. The Broncos still holding on pretty strong to this point. Getting up to 71%. Definitely going from Flashpoint to controllers. Definitely a slow down in pace, if I have to say so myself. But Kansas still has a chance to get back into one more fight. The Rock goes out, moving pretty quickly. The wall, there's Terra Surge. Quite a bit of damage. Going to take out Immortality. And here comes that transformation, or Wheels from thinking. Not going to find anything, but they are going to get points though.
They've managed to flip it in their favor, but we are in last fight territory if the Broncos start to encroach on this space and get a foothold on it. The other issue is that every single Bronco is alive. They have more spam, and this is more of a brawl comp from Kansas, so they can get surrounded and obliterated as Ben is already gone.
Oh, but talk about come from behind victory. Clear was right there on the copy for the Bastion to be able to take the real Bastion out. And now Boise State's Bastion is going to say, hey, I want in on this party, get a double, and take the point back. I don't think Kansas can get back quick enough. They're going to have to rely on this Lucio and just book it. But Thinking is immediately taken out by the Rock. And Clear also secures a pick. Boise State wins the first map.
What may be more terrifying than double tank in Overwatch 2 might be double Bastion in turret form. Or imagine 6 artillery strikes. I don't think I've ever seen that. I'd love to see that on a NACE broadcast. 2 clone Bastions going. You get a 4.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Bastion.
an Echo, and a Bastion, and a Bastion, and all simultaneously hitting Q at once. And no one is touching anywhere with the hopes of surviving. That is where, like, overstimulation takes over. You look at the ground and you're like, okay, that one's red, that one's blue. I can walk there. It's like the floor is lava, but amplified.
I just like how perfect that replay was. If he just slowly turns around and sees the bet, it's just I'm you, but better.
I'm you. I love that.
All right, we're going to be heading on to the second stage. It's going to be Gardens to start things out. Boise State isn't going to take a teleport over there. Neither is Kansas. Both of them are going to walk across. Now My Dog gets onto the point first. We'll see if they can hold on to it. Also taking a bit of damage. Chip damage here and there, but Kansas is, for the most part, managing to tank it out. They are going to spend their Immortality Field as the Bastion sneaks his way across. They all focus on him. And how is he still alive? Cal is there to help him. And Thinking and Goldie go down, followed by the rest of the team. Full team wipe against Kansas. Boise State takes the point.
I need a genuine replay with the in-game code that lets me see every single cooldown that's popped, because I'm pretty sure every ounce of sustain that could be thrown at Moose was just used. That was ridiculous. Moose, you should not be alive.
And did that give Kel the opportunity to go into the backline, all that attention on one singular character that didn't get eliminated, and then it backfires? It's gotta be tough.
You are absolutely correct, Cohen. It did let Kel go do some sneaky stuff that he should not have gotten away as Sigma.
And now he's pushing all the way toward the choke point for Kansas' spawn. He's just building up his health pool as well. Moose gets a pick onto the other Bastion. Boise State has built up every single ultimates, but My Dog Died is able to take out Clear. He's going to be moving over to the left, but Boise State has a lot to defend this point with.
And Moose
My
is
Dog?
so separated.
Bursts right through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, and Thinking gets rid of a large bagel as well. Ben Crow rules also taking out Moose. Boise State still has control of the point despite some of the eliminations Kansas has gotten. Clear is there to play cleanup with a double. Kel also gets rid of the Lucio. So Boise State, despite a promising opening start by Kansas, is going to keep the point and get a tiny bit of a stagger by taking out that May.
Kool-Aid Man. Stuck in
Well, the May wall was right there. It just burst right through.
Bang!
I calls them as I sees them.
I call them as I seize them. And Old Team Bastion's not going to find anything as a desperate Kansas is going to try and rotate here. As I say that, the other artillery strike's going to come in, get the Baptiste. Now Kel's on a flank here. Beat was used, but it's worn off. And this could be dangerous to Kansas right here.
Thinking, dropping the artillery strike. does manage to find Moose, picks up the immortality in the process. Goldie unfortunately goes down, thinking in the process. Also got sniped by Kel as Hawk tries to push forward, gets a little poke damage in, maybe help Tracer make it their way to point, but I think it's all for naught. And yes, it shall be. Broncos are going to walk away with Li Zhang.
Alrighty, so we're on the road to matching the pace that we've been talking about, possible 3-0 sweep. Of course, Kansas now gets the choice with hybrid, and normally, you know, when one of us is off stage, when we rotate out throughout the day, we often like taunting each other about what we try to predict in terms of the maps. But now there's no excuses. We're all on stage, and we all have to make our predictions known and then be proven wrong.
Yeah, because I had the headset on during the last series, and when I knew what hybrid was, I literally, on our note board that we used to communicate, I said I'm not telling. Just because of what we've seen today, I have to go against the tide, and I'm going to say we're seeing Kings Row.
Oh, wow. We are not. We are going to Brazil.
Huh?
Now, here's the thing. This stage for Boise State is not one that they necessarily have fond memories of. Might I say, last time they fought on this, they had to go up against 2 Ramatras because of the copy.
I think if we've been seeing this a lot more, this almost might be like a scout into Boise State. Hey, what can we counterpick a map for them real quick? And I feel like it ends up being this one almost every time.
And I think there's no better way to do it. I mean, as Nerdy said at the beginning of this, you know, Boise State is kind of the most plain Jane team. Now they have some variety in how they play their comps, but I mean, you can bet a team like Boise State is going to have Kings Row nailed down to a T. So you look in their past, what have they lost on? I like this here.
It's a smart pick. I hope we don't see a C9 again from the Broncos this week on this map. I hope we don't see our tank on point by himself when everyone is pushing past doorway over here by Lucio's club for no reason. Y'all know the definition of insanity. So that's just, you know, hopefully we're not showing early symptoms of this coming from the Broncos squad.
The Broncos are going to pick to go. Actually, Broncos chose to attack first. Kind of interesting, since Kansas had choice of the stage. So the Broncos must be ready for their redemption arc on this stage. Moose gets the first pick. Going to take out that Sombra. Clear also getting in on the fun. Gets rid of their Brig. Is now going to teleport up, try to find any squishies. This Ana is ripe for the picking and is able to be eliminated with thanks to help by Kel. And now it's focus on the Monkey, and Boise State is looking like a completely different team this time around, getting the point on the first team fight.
Flashbacks came back from previous maps, and they're like, nah,
Not
not
going to
again.
make the same mistake twice, is what you're saying?
They are not the definition of insanity. Maybe, perhaps, we're still so early in this map, I may have cashed jinxed it. If so, I will not apologize.
The variant here that we have is actually Clear is not on Sojourn or Echo, he is on Reaper. And Reaper, when played properly, is very difficult to punish in the composition that's currently built because you use Wraith Form and you get out of jail free. As long as you use Shadow Step early on, and then Shadow Step mid-fight, and then Wraith out as need be, because you've got long-range healing, so it allows you to go hide somewhere away from the fight, get healed up without having to be in the middle of the fight to get healed, so to speak. The issue that we had last time was Clear clearly getting diffed on Sojourn and Echo.
Well, that's not going to be the case, at least with him on the Reaper. He gets the first pick. Cal is going to be doing pushing duty as well, so it isn't going to be one of Boise State's supports either. My Dog Died is just hanging on to this Primal Rage. Pulse Bomb and Nano Boost also available. This Winston could just be an elimination. Machine goes right in to push Large Bagel off of his perch, and now tries to boop him off the edge. Oh, he's juggling him in midair. Has to spend the immortality field. Off the edge you go, finally.
That was so cruel.
I was nasty.
That is playing with your food.
And you wanted to eat a large bagel. I get it. It happens. if you're really hungry, you gotta go for it. Bagels, I get it. But Lyric goes down shortly thereafter. That's no supports left for the Broncos, and that means it's time to reset.
First fight that they have lost, but they do have plenty of time. Almost 4 minutes to do so, and they have a good amount of ultimates now. The Dragon Strike comes online for Moose. But he's going to swap over, decides it's not worth it, wants to go to Junkrat instead.
I'm interested to see how this. Okay, we are playing Mystery Heroes if you are Moose. Moose has now gone from Hanzo with ult to Reaper to, to Junkrat to Mei. We see the copy come out.
This Reaper having a bit of trouble. Everyone's hanging out on the top. He has to make his way up there. And just one shot, one kill. Ben Crow rules, goes down. And who's next on the list for Clear is the question. He's looking, he's fighting, trying to find that Tracer who's going to go away. Meanwhile, eliminations have been traded back and forth between Boise State and Kansas. Clear is going to open up an advantage for the Broncos by taking out a Wasp and just pushing the Winston back for a full team reset. The Broncos look like they're going to get to the checkpoint.
My dog died, though. 90% on Primal. Colin, what are the odds you think we see another core support get juggled into oblivion?
90% right now. Unless they go down to Moose, which in that case, it's now back to 0% in that case, as I don't think they're going to get back in time as Death Blossom is available. There goes down a support looking to find a second one as well. This Ana is not looking so safe, is sent back to spawn, and that is second point captured right now, and still sitting on the monkey right now at 98%. Now is Primal though. Now I don't think we're going to see a support juggle. Maybe, but you're not going to get environmental like you did last time.
I mean, that was a very particular spot too that made that just such a good ultimate. Meanwhile, Clear is going to be able to get rid of My Dog Died, so for sure for the next few seconds you're not going to see the Primal. Pell also gets rid of a Wasp. Ben Crow unable to escape. Boise State making a lot of room for themselves. Clear is going to teleport over, try to find maybe one or two squishies in the back line.
Jacob, you mentioned it earlier, which is, some of the tank changes are going to be coming with the end of the season. Well, one of the tanks that did not really get touched at the start of this season for better was Winston. And running Winston into Mei after her buff, also into Reaper, definitely a difficult situation for Hey My Dog Died.
And Clear makes that point known with an exclamation mark. Everyone from Kansas bites the dust, and now Boise State just a little bit away from securing 3 points.
Clear has held on to the Death Blossom for quite a bit of time, probably. And there goes out Blizzard looking to. It doesn't matter. The immortality
That is
right at the perfect time.
That is just for personal reasons there. I mean, I don't care if we lose the round. I just need to make a statement here. Clear, you've been getting too much mileage.
My life flashed before my eyes, because imagine if there wasn't anymore on that point while Deep Reaper's Death Blossom with a pulse bomb on his head.
All right, right now Boise State is going to have their chance to defend, and this is where things started to come off the rails a little bit for them last time.
I did want to ask a question real quick about Mei. In terms of information is correct here that the devs might be walking back the deep freeze effect.
Yes.
So could that play a pretty big effect in terms of Winston seeing a lot more viability when there's a Mei on the other team?
Okay, so I equate this change kind of to if you know how to play Mei, if you're one of those people that enjoys the suffering and pain of crying of others, and you have been playing Mei since the beginning of Overwatch 2 or even Overwatch 1, the minor rollback, I believe, on this Deep Freeze plus Icicle combo isn't going to be the end-all be-all for you. You understand that the value of Mei is not coming from just her kill capability. It is the ability to separate people, cut someone off, and kill them. They're not nerfing the basic fundamentals of Mei. What they're doing is they're nerfing her one-shot potential.
Boise State now getting ready to set up, is going to bring out the Junkrat. We saw that tease from them halfway through their attack, but now they're going to bring out, they were just giving us a preview of what they wanted to do on defense. The moves is indeed, in fact, we're going to have Torb be brought out by Clear as well. My Dog Died trying to scout things out behind the trolley. He's going to jump right up. That's a lot of Broncos he has to go up against, and he just gets mowed down.
We've got trapped there as well. Kind of a lot of foresight you kind of know where the Winston's going to dive at that point.
Tracer is going to have one heck of a time trying to break past a Torbjorn with a Torb turret so far back that is only starting to be viable once the disengage is started, which is really how you want to play the Torb turret in these long fight long fight situations. So we do see Thinking thought about it and decided Tracer wasn't the call. However, Sombra, Ben, good luck and have fun. You're gonna have to be dodging a turret.
Let's try to make the Sombra work on defense as well. So I'm a little bit intrigued to see how it's going to work on the attacking side of it, as they have yet for Kansas to push past this initial choke point.
Kansas may be waiting for this EMP.
This might be manages to push through, but takes a bit of damage. Kel did get rid of their main heal, and now the Sombra's gone as well, thanks to Lyric. This is a lot of time to burn off to wait for that EMP. It's just past halfway there.
Typically, if you're playing Sombra, you're looking for the sweet zone for your EMP is, 80+% after 2 engages. This is the only way I can say this really here is this is the epitome of a long drawn out fight. There hasn't been a clean reset, but if you were to go based off of time alone, you should be roughly 2.5 fights in.
Kansas!
Sombra's finally getting a breakthrough, made it through without getting scouted, but is trying to hat clear while taking damage from 3 people right now. And meets the blunt end of a Kel bullet.
Get knocked out of the immortality to lose the life as Bat there is insane onto Large Bagel. But I don't think it's going to matter very much because the Broncos are still managing to push back. And now Gravitic's Flux is committed to the fight as well. Rock was not to be blocked out. Gonna have to use hands, mitigate some of the damage. There's Tyre going for the back line. Is not gonna find it.
Hey, my dog guide has been pretty undeterred by most of the pressure being put on them. And I'm giving them complete credit because it does not seem like they're sweating in the worst of these situations.
Now this SIG is left on to the point for Boise to stagger them out. We have seen a bit of a swap. A Wasp has gone over to the Zen.
60 seconds remaining.
But it's quite a ways away from any Transcendent. And Thinking, oh, that's rough. That's really rough by Kel. That's a huge pick. That's time that Kansas cannot afford to lose.
EMP is ready though.
So now we'll see.
But
was it worth waiting for?
Yeah, I'm in the same.
That's so unfortunate. That is Valorant timing in Overwatch.
No.
Are we sure that we don't have like one of the production viewers who's like? I get it that we were wondering if it was gonna find value, but sometimes when you're doing Observer, you feel like you're cursed a little bit. Like every time you swap POVs, that person's about to die or is dead.
And now they're just bodying Backthroat, saying, you spent all this time charging up the EMP, well then use it. Use it.
The mines go out onto the final bit of point. Nobody might be able to make a touch. There's an attempting Lucio.
Oh my
just
goodness.
Can't do anything about it. That is Boise State not dropping Paraiso. That is, from what was last time we saw the Broncos play on this map, is an overall improvement, but we did not see Kansas able to find a breakthrough from defense to attack.
All right, let me have my soapbox moment here. Just for a second, like connect with me if you are not familiar with how Overwatch works. If by 3 fights in, or the equivalency of what would have been 3 fights off the clock, which is 45 seconds per, roughly, you do not have your ultimate, there is a problem. When you are ult tracking and you do not know where someone's ult is roughly, by 3rd fight, if they have not used it, you assume they have it. And if you are the person that's supposed to, at the 3rd fight, have that ult, and you don't, you've done something fundamentally wrong, and you need to swap your composition up. It wasn't working. You were getting scouted out constantly. Sombra is insanely powerful in the right hands, but in the wrong hands, you are playing Respawn Simulator.
And the saying goes, no ultimate is worth having the wrong team comp.
Yes. So, now as we move to Servasa, which there's no shock here, there was no point ever discussing this one. It's been Servasa all the way. We should just trust Matt on that one, even though Matt's not always right. I can bolt. We'll trust Matt on that one. However, this is the opportunity where the rubber meets the road for Kansas to turn things back around in their favor. Honestly, if you're gonna start changing things in your favor, the Paraiso pick was a little interesting, but again, as Colin and Jacob pointed out, it's the map that the Broncos kind of dropped the ball really hard on last week, so I totally understand that pick. Servasa, though, is everybody's pick, so it's becoming, it's like Kings Row 2.0. It's how it's going to be, because we're not even getting any Flashpoint map in the next update. So with that being said, I hope to goodness you've practiced a very simple composition, because simple gets the work done. You're bread and butter. You're easy to go to breakfast. Do you have that comp here? That is my question.
Can you list out that comp?
It's Battle Cattle. It's the Orisa. It's Lucio, Baptiste, Genji, or Sojourn, or Reaper. It is, you know, it's the composition Boston ran to beat London Spitfire with their Reinhardt Symmetra teleporter, which that composition on the macro and micro level is very difficult because it relies on a lot of communication between your Symmetra and your Reinhardt, and knowing what your Rein can and can't do from the Symmetra perspective, which is what makes that comp so difficult, though it seems very simple from the outside perspective. Whereas the Orisa composition, it's playing for space, keeping away from the enemy team as long as possible, not blowing all your cooldowns at once, and making sure that you are spamming and keeping for the long fight.
Kansas is going to be going on to the Orisa, whereas Boise State is going to be Moose, actually, who's handed the reins for the tank and is going to be bringing out Sigma. My dog died, taking body and a huge amount of damage. Cal gets the first pick. On to Thinking. He's going to pick up a double now, takes out both support, DPSs for Kansas, helping Boise State make their way onto the point. Clear gets another pick. That should be the first flashpoint given to Boise State, although Kansas did manage to take the flashpoint first thing, so they'll get 20 for free.
I think this is very different than most of the matches that we've seen as well, because in terms of, and Kansas does capture the point first, so they do get a little bit of take on it, but I feel like most of the time that at least I've been catching for Fast 3, the team that gets to the point first typically holds it and wins first fight. So this is a bit of a turnaround in terms of Boise State running an unusual comp that was not described as bread and butter. And Lyric is going to get one more. It might be holding on to this point a little bit longer.
So there's also a reason why I say you should have your bread and butter comps, your very simplistic comps. It is because the more silly you try to get, the harder your win condition becomes. The more convoluted it is, the easier it is to pick apart your comp and punish it. Right now, yes, while the Broncos are being successful, things can start to go awry very quickly. You gotta keep in mind that if Kel's not positioned right, he can get picked off by Ben or Thinking extremely easily. If Moose doesn't use his hands at the right time, he's going to get speared into a wall by, hey, my dog died, and then there's going to be a follow-up rail shot from a Sojourn and a couple pepper pots from Baptiste. Now we do see the lift go off. Lift doesn't find anybody because Baptiste had shift and there was no follow-up damage because Clear was not in line of sight of the lift. This is where a comp like this gets easily starts to get punished, as Orisa is going to box everybody like a fish into a corner.
Uh-oh. Boise State slowly making their way back, but they did get enough time to take the first flashpoint. Right now, this is a long, drawn-out fight with Moose fighting the dust. Goldie is going to deliver the final blow. This gives Kansas a green light to head on over to the next flashpoint. They're sitting on a whole bunch of ultimates as well, and they're going to run right into Boise. Lyric is right there all alone, and his days are numbered with a spear.
There's Bagel back there. There's Moose as well. Also, that is Moose as in like chocolate mousse. So you want a bagel with Moose on it and turn around and go delete those two if you feel like it.
Which is not bread and butter. A bagel with mousse is not, and
No.
and like you said, it doesn't work well together.
It sounds too fancy, like some French, you know, Michelin star cuisine, and I'm not here for that. Give me my top ramen.
Boise State did just clear the point, though, back. Get the 5K, and now they have control.
That is true, but Kansas is sitting on a whole bunch of stuff that they can use.
Yeah, look at the bank accounts. This is what you get for paying for the Moose and bagels.
We're going to keep going with this analogy until it is at the very, very end. Right now, Ben Crow sitting on this visor, doesn't use it, and goes down to Moose. Boise State is going to be using the Gravitic, catches a good bit of Kansas. The beat is used in response, trying to keep them alive, but too many of Kansas is taken out. Pulse Bomb also expelled by Kel. Boise State now going past 50% on the second flashpoint.
Kel is hunting for the soldier and is called off by their team. I mean, you get too far, and as we've talked about on this map, there's a lot of corridors. You can either get lost, or the team is going to find you, so to speak, because you don't know your way back. You have Kel once again on the hunt, on the prowl, at the spawn door. A little bit too close for comfort. Recall ain't gonna save you if you go too far. Thinking goes down to Lyric. Kel gets out by the skin of his teeth. My dog looking for an opportunity to regroup with their team as Broncos are egressing on these spawn doors. Point has been capped. Broncos one flashpoint away from victory.
And only having still window only able to commit. But this next fight, everything will be available. We still have Kel in the back line trying to cause some chaos. Gets thrown back a bit, goes back, but now you have 4 at the fight right here, which if Kansas take advantage of very quickly, could turn to advantage, but if they forget Kel's behind them, could turn into a pulse bomb on your back really fast.
As when you mark the flanker, you force the recall just now from Kel, that's your go button. You are now in a 4v5.
Oh, Terror Surge brought out by My Dog Died, takes out the Immortality Field, and that leaves Thinking to be able to take out a large Bagel. And now Lyric, both supports down due to the overclock. Kansas makes their way toward the point, moves off out of the way of that Gravitic. It didn't even go through because My Dog Died just went right up to Moose's face and took him out.
What is that about time to use Flex?
Yeah? No. No.
You had me going there for half a second when you said yeah first.
I was like, whoa. I thought I had something right for a second. Kansas is going to take the point.
There's something called pointing ult, and then there's something known as going for a hero play. And when there's a Baptiste with Shift and more plus a hero thing, you probably can't make a hero play on Sig. We do have a reset with Fortify, so the Pulse Bomb's not going to kill her, but it's just going to get enough damage. However, Large Bagel and Lyric have both gone down. We do see Ben and My Dog have died. Both go down to Lyric and Kel does clean up Goldie, so that's going to be a point flip back over to Boise State. But 29% away from full cap for Kansas. I can't math super good in this instance. It's 1.8% per second. So theoretically, that is like half a fight if Kansas flips it back in their favor.
Kansas is also going to have this beat online that they can use when this fight starts. Start things off, Kel is going to flash over the water, try to find some sort of off angle. My Dog Died calls it out. Kitsune Rush used by Boise State. Window popped by Kansas, trying to fire through and see if they can just get some damage onto anybody. Window's going to expire, so now it's a little bit of a route to the left to see Boise State, but that's Sig. Don't have a whole lot of health off of that, so Moose is going to be even harder to take out.
Well, you don't want to really be looking at the tanks in this instance. It's one thing for your tank to look at the enemy tank to apply pressure, but your DPS want to be creating off angles, applying pressure on other people besides the tank so that there is pressure removed from both your own tank and the enemy tank. That is the whole point. If your tank's getting blown up, it's a DPS issue.
Oh, Boise State decided to try to take that flank for pinch Kansas in,
Off the
but
map,
they
off
went
the map.
off the... There they go! Off the map! Oh my goodness! Kansas, you got to walk away from that one proud.
That was beautiful.
And that just goes back into my point. Boise State was on the point, but decided to follow Kansas around that flank route, trying to pinch them in from both sides. Not only did it give Kansas the point, but it allowed that play that we just saw there to transpire.
Wow. That made my afternoon.
That's 2 maps in a row. That's 2 maps in a row that a Large Bagel has been targeted almost to be pushed off the map.
If you're a main support, you just kind of accept your fate. You're the sacrificial lamb in most instances. Surely it's nothing.
You got a target on your back almost all the
You
time.
do. You really do. Goldie's probably felt it. Hawk has probably felt it. It's just how it is.
They do be like that, though.
A lot of ultimates available to both teams right now for this fight. Boise State just needs one to win it. They're going to claim it first on Palace. Visor brought out by Ben Crow. Thinking eliminated by Kel. Can Ben Crow pick up the slack? There's a window also placed down by their Baptiste. It does help them get clear. My Dog Died also takes out Large Bagel with a punch to the face. But Moose is fighting back. Clearly, Boise State can still tank this out. But they let the point go back over to Kansas.
And Rush being committed as well. The TP away. Kel gets speared. Dog Died gives up a bit of position. Just like that, the point goes right back to Boise State's favor. trying to play around this cover, waiting for more teammates to catch up. The BAP is now in LOS. They might be ready to engage. Terror Surge at 85, Overclock 17, and B is ready as well, but there's also 3 ultimates in line. Wait, Overclock for the side of clear goes out. Might be looking for something. Beat's going to be committed as well. Thinking he's also going to commit Overclock. There goes Immortality as well. Vince Flux also goes off. A whole lot of ults to go off with not a lot to show for in the kill feed. There's the first one. Large Bagel's going to get one, but the trade back tank for tank.
Front line's gone, but a large bagel gone as well. It puts Kansas City in a nice spot. They do flip the point back in their favor after losing their own Baptiste. Clear did get taken out by Ben. But right now, again, they are slightly stronger. Plus, you got to keep in mind the speed that comes from Goldie to help people get back into position is a little bit more helpful when you're down one than not having now lose to a speed boost at all if you're looking at the Broncos lineup.
Kansas also sitting on that window that's going to come online. Boise State similarly has this pulse bomb available to Kel, who still was taken out. Trying to find, might put it on to Thinking here, and Side said tries to recall and gets taken out by the railgun shot. Thinking is gonna is not gonna go much farther though. Pulse bomb that Kel threw out does manage to trade with Thinking, so it's 1 for 1. Goldie gets rid of Moose. Boise State losing their tank, can't keep this flashpoint any longer, so it goes over to Kansas. We're going on to flashpoint 5.
There's that Spear you're talking about. It's just so devastating. Once hand goes away, Spear just kind of destroys you, and a bit of staggers here as well is going to let Kansas State head to next point. Unlocks in 24 seconds, so they won't get the countdown started on it, but now sitting at a 2-2. This is effective match point in this game, while Boise State sits at match point in the series. Kansas is looking like it has a lot of fight left in it. As these past 2 flashpoints, they've been pretty effective at shutting down the Broncos, fight for fight.
I really thought the whole point of javelin throw and track and field was distance, not to catch it. It really seems like that is not something the Broncos learned.
That was version 1.0 of the game until they changed the rules for obvious reasons.
Okay. I was not privy to this update information. Now we've got my dog with hair search. There's no in more. Pulls him out of it. Thinking, and Lucio will pick Lyric up in the throngs of that terror surge now.
Oh, off the edge! Off the edge!
Oh,
wow.
That was so close. I'm gonna count it. I don't know how there was a boop near back towards the point, but it was pretty gosh darn close.
Yeah, Kansas has gotten halfway there on their charge. Still maintaining a presence on point as Boise State fumbling and stumbling to take this flashpoint back. Overclock brought online. My Dog Die gets the pick on to Kel, and the rest of Kansas just go charging right after the Broncos. And they're trying to get a pick with the railgun, but Ben Crow Rules and My Dog Die are just going to continue laying into Boise State. There's just so much territory Kansas is gaining, and they're past 85%. Oh man, can Boise State even make it back, or will they be the only team, despite everyone else getting this? Uh-oh. Boise State made a boo-boo.
Yep.
Didn't drop it on Paraiso, but ended up dropping it on Flashpoint.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That is tough. Can you break it down for me in terms of what
went wrong?
What went wrong? Yeah, let's go simple.
Okay, let's start out with the basics. You don't play touch the spawn door challenge on Flashpoint. A. B. You're not running a composition that is simplistic enough that if you start to break apart, you can still figure out a jerry-rigged, MacGyvered version of a win condition. For instance, if you go down one person. In the more standard and basic compositions, you lose one, okay, we drop either a DPS ult or a support ult in that instance, and we fight where we are. If you lose your tank or you lose your main support and you're really far forward from an objective, well, then you've kind of done this to yourself. You make a last stand, but you don't coin ultimates, and you fight to the death in that one final instance, and then you let them go to the point, and then you come back. But when you don't run these bread and butter compositions, and you get funky with it for absolutely no reason, you just, so many words. Anyway, Kansas set a win condition for themselves, okay? They came out on the battle cattle, and they eviscerated The Broncos. They sent them to a farm up north. Was not the Orisa. Hey, my dog died. Said all dogs go to heaven. Broncos, it's time for you to go to a glue farm.
Well, Nerdy, I hate to say this to you right now because it might not improve your mood, but it seems like that one loss has sent the Broncos into a unique choice of map selection here. They actually chose your favorite, quotation marks, Coliseo.
Would this be their normal pick? Is this outside the norm for them?
It's not. Like I said, they typically have very simplistic comps and very specific maps that they like to run.
Okay.
Now you got to keep in mind, why go Coliseo? Well, while we've seen Moose do some weird things, back when Moose first came here, he was one of the most horrifying people to play against on Widowmaker. Additionally, you throw in Clear, who is a tank player, but is also very good at Sojourn when he's not hitting shift key into the enemy team as though he's a Reinhardt with a charge. It is very scary. You get a rail shot, you get a Widowmaker headshot, you are going back to the respawn. With that being said, we're also down on the standard DPS players in this lineup. We don't have Plato. Bastion is extremely strong right now, and Bastion's typically played by Plato. So you won't see the Bastion compositions come out here, which means that Sim Reinhardt teleporter strategy that you can use here is not viable. So instead, we're going to go with Battle Cattle from the side of Kansas, and to try and counter the Orisa play, we do have Sigma, which is an option, but it really relies on your cooldown rotations being perfection in order to counter the horse.
State going for the Echo. No pocket for this Echo, but I'm sure Clear can make do. Lyric has decided to move on to the Alari. Haven't seen too much of her, but we'll see how well Clear can do. And Moose is going to start things off by getting the pick onto Hawk from Kansas, and Boise State's going to claim the robot for themselves, start their push.
And Hell is already rounded the corner, facing down the bridge for the enemy team. Orisa's Fortify has been burned. Symmetra is just doing a little bit of orb damage. However, it's not enough to deter Kel. Biggest thing with your tanks is making sure that overshield health is healthy, and if it's there, they can be pretty confident. But Moose, who got too confident, way too big for his britches, gets punished by the cattle and sent back to respawn. Hey, my dog died's looking a little bit rough. Is going to use that spear spin to retreat. Has Lucio there to help with the bandages, but looking like they need to go full on triage mode as they do get sent back to spawn.
Whoever was operating that camera, you have a cruel heart. Made us witness a nasty mugging in a back alley right there. Anyway, Kansas is still pushed back to their point despite Boise State. That's one scene. They are making a whole lot of progress, going to make their way to the first checkpoint, unlock forward spawns for themselves. And Clear is already at his copy. Lyric also brings out Captive Sun. Kel sitting on the Gravitic. This is fast ult charge time for Boise State. They're going to bring out the Captive Sun first. It's going to go right into the Immortality field. Hawk is the next to fall thanks to Lyric. Boise State is just making so much space for themselves right now. They don't want to waste any time after losing that last one.
Went back to Overwatch 2 there for a second. That double tank while Kansas was stuck in Overwatch. Or
Went back to Overwatch 1 while Kansas was in Overwatch.
Got me. You know, words are sometimes difficult though. They do get the second point, which means they get the closer respawn. So even if Kansas gets an elimination here, it could be difficult to maintain the fight. Window gets committed as well. Clear goes a little bit low, going to go back up to help. Committed, not going to be doing too much though. But Ben has Visor here as the Broncos are now shoved into a bit of a corner here in Terra Surge as well. That could be a lot of damage. That's thinking. Getting one though, and the Inmore, and to get a second. A large bagel is going to trade. No, and they're going to find the entire team elimination.
He thought he could just hide out, but Ben Crow was patrolling, picks up a double, and every Bronco has been taken out. Kansas is going to start their push.
So, in case anyone's unfamiliar, historically, my favorite hero is D.Va, but lately it actually has been Orisa. I have been all here for the if you don't got no giddy out of my way playstyle of the Orisa players that are present. And when we saw Clear lock it onto the Battle Cattle, I really thought they were going to shut the door right then and there on Kansas. Kansas has brought it back. They are now pushed into the bridgeway. They unfortunately lose their Baptiste though, and it is returned in kind as a large bagel is removed from the field. Thinking goes down to Clear. If Moose gets eliminated here, never mind. Clear found Ben, and then Kel will find Goldie thereafter, so this is going to flip back in favor of the Broncos, but truly, I'm shocked they turned that around. They have my due respect.
Boise State Gonna be sitting on, I mean, they're very close to having all 5 ultimates. Kansas has spent a lot of theirs. They use the visor, so that's gonna be a ways off. They do have this beat that can maybe get you past 1 or 2 ultimates, but Boise State's gonna have so much to use. Very dangerous for Kansas in this next fight, especially since already Boise State's gained so much territory. I think Claire just melts. Thinking, then Pro Rules trades it back. The copy goes out. We got 2 tanks on the field. Is trying to focus down this Baptiste, but the other horse is just body blocking him. Terra Surge now online for Claire. Is gonna pop it, as well as the Gravitic on top of it.
Oh my God!
Oh man!
I don't think that's a combo. That's wait,
What?
1 second.
What?
1 second.
What?
What? Tired time.
Crow.
Ben took away forward spots for the Broncos.
Oh,
He got it all
no.
the way. Oh my gosh, Ben.
Boise, you were so caught up in trying to pull off the combo.
I mean, we were too.
Yeah, we were. We
too.
were all
totally
baited
captivated.
there.
As I was gonna say, I don't think it's a combo that we've been able to see in Overwatch 2, seeing as you don't have that 2-tank gameplay, and that was absolutely astounding. But honestly, the play by Ben got totally trumped that. To be honest, I'd rather get that than see a double tank ult. That was insane.
And now my dog died, moving back towards their spawn. Window's going to be placed down to give Boise State damage a bit more oomph. Immortality Field is going to be spent now. Kansas moves forward, gets stunned though, and gets taken out with Moose getting the final hit.
Sun being used as well. Not seeing anything in the kill feed so far. Not enough damage to really trigger it. There's an elimination though on Squirrelhawk. Ben goes down as well, and now the Broncos have their forward spawn as well. Down to about 4 minutes and 15 seconds here. Still a lot of fight left in this match though, but the Broncos don't have too much farther to go as they are now pushing the barrier once again. But Kansas has 3 to possibly 4 ultimates online for this fight to Boise State's most likely 1 to maybe 2 here. So we could see Kansas very quickly getting this back. A lot of cooldowns are being used here. Clear goes up, trying to get elimination, not doing too much. Now the fighter on the barrier, and that's a lot of damage going out right now.
Terra Surge available from My Dog Died, as well as overclocked by Thinking.
Oh, don't even need it.
And
We're
no,
hitting it
doesn't
anyway.
even need it, but it's going to use it anyway. Charge up to full power.
Okay.
Clear's just hanging off to the side watching. And now that I'm done Terra Surging, 1 javelin, you're gone.
A headshot as well to end it all. And some 360s to boot.
My dog, if you don't get POTG, I'm going to actually be shocked. However, the wombo combo between both the tank ults that happen for the Broncos may end up being play of the game, but when it takes 2 ults from 2 different people versus 1 ult, doesn't tend to be, like, the 1 ult tends to be favored a little bit more by the system, so we'll have to wait and see. Fortunately, hey, my dog died. Their Fortify is on cooldown. They do end up getting lifted. They will survive. Forced to use Spear Spin to get out. Having that many cooldowns expunged early while we're about to get in very close range combat when you're a horse is a little bit difficult. Lyric is getting close to Captive Sun. Moose finds Thinking. There it is, the Widowmaker pick from Moose. I talked about it earlier. Horrifying. In the best way possible. Horrifying.
And Window was also committed to that fight earlier while it just got pushed in front of and completely negated.
This is interesting. The copy goes out onto the Baptiste. It's trying to out DPS the soldier. It's going to get taken out of their copy. Now Clear, helping Cal focus down back. Boise State is nearly back to where they were pushing. And I mean, it's so hard to get this final point on Coliseum, though. The fact that Boise State has made it this far, this is such a hill that Kansas is going to have to get back.
Basically, if the team wiped consecutively, like 1 back-to-back, and it has to be effortlessly. It almost has to be a team thing, honestly, at that point. If you end up getting 3rd point on Coliseum, Kansas is going to be able to push you back. We are now sub 2 minutes right now, as Kansas has about 106 meters to go in order to take the W on this map.
Okay, hear me out though, Colin. You let the Broncos come forward. You bait them to be in front of the bot and the push, the pylon that needs to be pushed in this instance. And then you send Ben on a journey. And you play your life as long as you can so that the Broncos don't realize that Ben is on this adventure, taking the push bot all the way to the other direction.
if a team has an IGL to make that call mid-match that is this chaotic, You got it. You got 200 IQ right there.
Although this captive son, I think,
Lyric.
is going to be just
Holy.
enough for Boise State to push their way. But Goldie is still hanging out on the robot, preventing from being pushed forward. He's
Wait,
going to
when
be
did we get a
eliminated.
far?
However, Boise State just capped from the final point, 2 meters away. Moose brings out the barrage. Terror Surge not going to turn this around. Boise State makes it all the way to the end. Well, I do not know about you two, but I am completely sold on the Gravitic Terror Surge combo.
Oh, yeah.
I am now completely on board that we need to bring the second tank back to Overwatch 2 just so I can see that combo again.
I'm sorry, but it takes seeing this for you to want the tank back? Not the pain and suffering that we as supports have to go through, because if we see an enemy tank, we're dead.
Sorry, didn't realize I was touching on such a sensitive nerve.
You didn't just touch it. You like walked in there with like the fate scissors and went. I get it though. It's flashy, but from my perspective, I just want the tank back. I just want 2 tanks.
And on that positive note, I do think we are done for the night, though, and what a match to end it on. I mean, that combined with, I also think, just the plays on Paricio and Servasta. We were just cheering so much for the off-the-edge plays. That was a really fun one.
The Broncos didn't commit it on Pariso, but they kind of not really C9'd it, but they got the point stolen from them again on a Coliseum. It seems to be a trend, honestly.
Yeah, maybe someone just doesn't look at the upper 35% of the screen, or anybody out of the 5
Useless
players.
information.
Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us for NACE Starleague Overwatch. And of course, a shout out to all of our sponsors, including one of the newest sponsors, Odyssey. Right now, they currently have their Odyssey Mushroom Elixir. Boost your performance with Odyssey. And a thank you to all of our other sponsors, Truth, Extra Life, Duncan, and a Monster. And of course, Mavix Gaming Chairs, who brings us our highlights. Mavix, feel the difference. Well, that does it for us. It is late at night, and we got to get going. Thanks to all of you, though, who have stuck around. We'll be back tomorrow with Valorant. But for now, have a great night and enjoy some highlights. Available